All right, let's get started. There's so much show to do today. I can barely stand it. I'm in the middle of everything, and I've got to do it. And it's exciting and good. And how are you? And hi. And man, it's a Friday afternoon, and it's HAL SPARKS Mega Worldwide, and I couldn't be happier to be here with you. There's a lot going on. You can tell when there's a big event day going on, because the Twitter machine just they're fast and loose with their grip on reality. Everything's crazy. They're tweeting about the Twitters and the tweetings of the things, and everything is on fire, and the end of the world is coming. And it's fascinating to me that probably the biggest talking point on Twitter right now is where to next. Is it Counter Social? Is it Mastodon? Will it be Blue Sky at some point? Curiously enough, in a Bill Gates helping Apple kind of a way, Jack Dorsey turns out dumped about, maybe anywhere between 10 and 100 million. It's hard to say on helping Elon Musk buy Twitter, along with P. Diddy and a bunch of other people, which is particularly odd and galling. But the big talk is, where do you go? And it is in many ways, I think it's an important question. It's not a bad conversation to have. It's not one to get too freaked out about. There are and there shall be and always will be alternatives. Hell, I give you 2 spots a day for, most days of the week to come by and chat your heart out, say your piece, and do your stuff. And I've got a Discord for the stuff you want to have to hang around on there. Just, join that thing or become a patron and join the better part of that thing. That isn't, I pay for the whole thing, so it's very expensive, but whatever. Anyways, and who knows, I might even start my own Mastodon server. Why not? Like a hsrpm.social or something like that. I wouldn't rule that out. How about MEGAWORDLWIDE? So that's a lot to type. I'll work on it. Anyways, point being, by the way, if you're wondering why they called it Truth Social, it's because they built Truth Social on the Mastodon architecture, even though they weren't going to tell anybody. It's an open source thing, and they didn't credit it in the beginning, and they got in big trouble. They didn't even build their own fucking architecture. Don't get me started. Anyways, so lots of stuff going on, not the least of which is where will the exodus be? And I couldn't help but think, as people were wrenching their garments and freaking out. Let me open up my chat so I can see your beautiful talking voices and make sure that I'm up like I'm supposed to be. And everybody say hi. Are you on? If you're on Facebook, check in. If you're on YouTube, check in. If you're on Twitch, check in. By the way, I checked on Buddha and Eagle. I couldn't find him in the blocked list. I don't know how that happened. So it might have happened outside of my control. Something else bigger, larger than my strange little channel. So anyways, if you love the channel and what we're doing here, we're only a few dozen, I'll just make it that, a few dozen subscriptions away from 42K, it would seem. I think we're going to hit it during the show. I do, on YouTube. Now, over the last little bit, you guys know that I got this big economic chip on my shoulder about this whole fucking money printer go bird nonsense that everybody's been talking about. And another thing is like how bad we got it while we got it so good. Because us in the West, especially those of us that have access to social media and within the substantive parts of our days can sit down and tweet at some point or message on Facebook or do something like that. You got it good. As tough as stuff is, and yes, there are challenges and you have to do it. If you can even do that, that's fucking amazing in human history, much less in modern history. There's a lot of people that have got it fucking rough right now. Now, many of you are familiar with, and let's see if I can dial this back so I can show you guys. Many of you are familiar with Foxconn, the name Foxconn. You guys know it. It's the factory that Trump was going to build in Wisconsin to build iPhones here that never came through, working with the company Foxconn, which makes a lot of Apple's phones, and is one of their biggest factories in China. The place is huge, and it's like a campus. People live there. It's like a college campus where you go and you work and you just live in the dorms, is it zooming in and zooming out? Am I zooming and zooming? Let me know if I zoom in and zoom out, and I will try and fix it because I won't be watching. Oh yeah, look at that. If I move too much, it tries to center me. I don't know. That's kind of fun. All right. Doesn't bother me if it doesn't bother you. All right. If it does bother you, I'll fix it. So, as a matter of fact, I can open that page and then go to this guy and then go to more settings. There you go. Enable auto tracking, AI zoom, turn that off. Okay. Now we're fine. It should not zoom to me. It is an autofocus though, which is a good thing. So, and quite frankly, if I have it on autofocus and it's right here, why don't I just switch it to manual focus? Oh, no, that doesn't work. That's pretty good. Okay. So thanks for subscribing. Look at that. Appreciate it. And becoming members. That's also another way to help the show. So the Foxconn folks, if you're aware, they don't make the iPhone. They assemble the iPhone. That's one of the big things about China. The whole made in China thing is a mask they hid behind. It was not made in China. Most of the stuff is fabricated in China, or it is assembled in China. Most of the important parts made in Taiwan, South Korea, or even here in the good old U.S. of A. before they're slapped together in what's effectively a giant clean facility. Some shit is going down. Now, I know that a bunch of you are aware of what's going on in Iran right now. The Iranian, let's see if I can play some of this footage for you. The Iranians are protesting the death of a woman in custody by the religious police. People are out on the streets. They are shouting, down with the mullahs. The mullahs have to go. They're burning headscarves and dancing and excited about it. And God bless them for that. And it's a thing. You guys are aware of that. That's ongoing right now. People's lives are in danger because they're choosing not to wear a particular piece of cloth on a particular part of their body. This is not an argument even in the United States, as we're having what I would argue is an important argument about women's rights, for example. Hold on, and I'm jammed up in here. The gimbal. Where are you? Here we go. This guy. Let's see. Hold on. Enoch Chuck. Try to move my over here a little bit. Shrink down. It's. There you go. All right, never mind. Anyway, so I'll just be big today. It's fine. In this, they are just simply trying to live a life where somebody can't tell you that if you're wearing the wrong piece of, article of clothing, you deserve to be beaten to death or jailed. It's ridiculous. So even on top of that, you've got it's students against soldiers, it's students against cops. It is my microphone clipping? Is everything? I'm super hot right now, so that might be it. And I think I turned up the noise reduction stuff. Hopefully that's a little better. It was turned way up. Okay, here we go. Hopefully that's better. Da-da-da-da. Okay. Anyways, you're aware of that. Most people are aware of that. Now I'd like to present to you something that you may not be aware of. Let me shrink myself down a little bit because this is... There we go. And move myself up a little bit over here. Okay, that's better. Now you can see me. Okay. This is currently in Zhengzhou, where the Foxconn factory is. And these are students and factory workers. They're people who work and live there, sneaking out over razor wire and past pointy fences, carrying their suitcases, and getting the fuck out of Dodge because they are sick of being locked down in their factory town. So they are hitching rides on flatbed truck. Look at this dude hanging onto the back of a fucking tanker truck. Some of them are in pig transport vehicles, and they are. This guy's saying a lot of these folks aren't even taking their bags. They're just taking some food and fucking off. They're leaving their personal belongings behind. They got their food and they've got a phone, and that's it. They're just bugging the fuck out. Now, there's a couple of images coming up that blew my fucking mind. Okay, first of all, the guys in the white, the evil ghosts with the Batman utility belts, those are police officers. Those are not medical workers. Those are specifically police officers. These people are supposed to stop. They're trying to stop them from getting on these buses. And they're going, go up this hillside. You can go over that way. You can go over that way. And everybody's leaving, and they just go, fuck that. Now, once they get in these vans, the government has blockaded the road with these giant dump trucks and garbage trucks so that the vehicles can't leave the area. You'll see in a second, these guys walk up and they just push right through the cops that are blocking the van so that they can get in these things. And they just keep going. It's beautiful to watch. And I feel so bad for like the men and women who work at Foxconn who are trying to get the fuck out of there. And then look at this dude. Look at this dude. Look at these guys and look at these folks. They're just trying to get up the highway past those assholes so that they can get on a trolley or another vehicle. They're all trying to catch a couple of trains that run on the regular just to get out of town. Yeah, the one guy brought his guitar. Of course he fucking brought his guitar. Good on him. He's got priorities. These are folks that if you have an iPhone or an iPad, more than likely one of these lovely folks right there assembled it. They slapped the glass in, they placed the circuit board in it, they folded back some of the wires, fed it into the case, and sealed it shut. Look at this. You don't do this shit in China. This is in Zhengzhou. This is in China. Can you imagine people, like, first of all, can you imagine a police line stopping people with luggage in the United States at all anyways? But then on top of that, look at the people walking down the fucking freeway by themselves. Some of these people, those are the vans full of people. And then these are the people on the other side. These folks have just decided to walk home. Yeah, that's the police escort. Just like walk. They're not doing anything about it. They're just trying to keep these people from walking home. They're going to cut them off when they try to get to the end of the road. This is a mass escape by Foxconn employees. These are the folks. These are the guys assembling iPhones, keyboards, all that kind of stuff. They make the equivalent of $55 a day in China, which is what that graph is pointing out. And then these folks are they're calling relatives. Some relatives are sending trucks to get their friend or their kid or their loved one or whatever. And they're saying, I got 25 people with me. Okay, well, we'll send a dump truck and you guys can climb in the back. Or Uncle Lee has a pig transport truck or a feed truck or some shit like that. We'll send that and you guys get in that. And then these folks walk their way out to and this is this is where they're trying. This some of the folks that are getting stopped inside it. Now, I want you to grasp this for a second. I want you to wrap your head around this. This is just people trying to leave work to go home. Never mind the idea that, people were being overworked there so much that they had to put nets under the windows to keep people from jumping out the windows and killing themselves because they were working nonstop and it was terrifying and awful and they couldn't quit. Because again, the suicide story about Foxconn was less about the work they did there or even the wages, but about the terms of work. Was it the sign over Auschwitz that said work shall set you free? It's a similar attitude there. You work your way out of your contract and it's brutal. And some of them just couldn't do it anymore. So multiple lockdowns over and over and over again have just driven people apeshit. They were trapped in these are their little dorm sleeping rooms. And they had to get constant PCR tests. People were throwing shit. That I'm not going to play some of the audio on this. But here, hold on. Well, maybe see. Hold on if they talk about this here. Yeah, these are people just wailing because they can't go anywhere. Yeah, their vaccine does not work at all. My audio is getting worse. Am I being messed with? Is that what's happening? Hold on. I think. Hold on. It's the. I'm gonna go with the noise suppression doesn't work and whatever. I'm just gonna leave it on like that. Hopefully that makes it a little bit better. Sorry. Let me know if this sounds slightly better. Trying to fix it. Is this how gene companies are set up? Sort of. Audio's fine on YouTube? Okay, good. Well, hopefully this is just fine anyways. It'll just have a little more room noise. But I want you to be aware of just how painfully awful normal life is for so many people there. This is happening in China. You're just not allowed to do this shit. You'll get arrested. Mass protests are not okay. You do not have the right to peaceably assemble any of that shit. The sanctions I was talking about are having an effect. Yes, they are. This is a huge deal. Because keep in mind that even at Foxconn, a bunch of the people who actually run the place, who are in control of or oversee the use of chips in the area, can no longer work there. So they fucked off. So there's only a limited amount of work that can be done there anyways. And it's probably for lower, and they probably shifted to lower end stuff and put more controls on who can get access to the chips and shit like that. So it's gotten worse. Yeah, so hold on one second. The video about Room 726 case online was found to be one that had been maliciously edited, and there was no related death in the Zhengzhou campus. Hun Hai was solemnly clarified that the outside world shouldn't spread fake news. The video they denied isn't the one that just aired. So far, we haven't found any organization to clarify the whatever. Okay, so this I think that might be a explanation for the above video. This is what was put on Chinese social media to deny it. But it's interesting that the 726, so they're talking about somebody who like jumped out of the window at 726 or was killed because they were there. And yet everybody's trying to get the fuck out. Look at this. This guy's shutting the gates. Oh, God damn it.
They have been banned. This girl is one of them who doesn't feel comfortable showing her face. She is still actively speaking out for her peers. To avoid censorship on social media in China, she used the term "that place" to refer to Foxconn in Zhengzhou.
I've been suspended for 24 hours.
4 hours, yeah.
I've been posting videos. I'm not too old. Why do I want to post these videos? It's because many kids who are as old as I am are mandatorily required to be sent to that place by their schools. They are as old as I am. They're not there to make money. They're forced to.
Oh, fuck, man. So they're talking about Uyghurs and forcing students to go work at Foxconn. Yeah, a workers' walkout in a communist country, for the record. Kind of reminds me of that time when people tried to unionize at the Young Turks. I kid. They won't release your graduation certificate unless you go intern at Foxconn.
Because the school...
Right, so this kind of goes to what I was talking about, where you have to work your way out of Foxconn, and why people... a couple of people have done themselves in because it seems like this endless thing, this endless road. So, yeah. Anyways, I wanted to bring that up because it's a good reminder of just how... Remind people how good they got it in the West right now. And that we're basically blind to all this shit. You are not going to see... any of this footage on any major news channels right now. She's a smart guy. Right. Yeah, this is great. He just made himself the third, gave himself a third/permanent term, and this is how it's starting. Look at those people. They're all fenced in that yellow area. That won't last long. It's like a fucking cheese maze. So anyways, the folks that have gotten out or are trying to get out have to let their parents know that they're out, or somebody to come get them, if they even can. Because a lot of them, their parents or their relatives are impoverished and live in rural China. There's no there there. They're not going to let their parents get on a fucking train and go get it. I'm breaking up on YouTube. They've come for me. I'm being decimated on YouTube because I dare talk about this stuff. It's a Google thing. Google is attacking my feed. Yeah, so this is one of the COVID dorms where people are just sick, and then they put everybody together, and then they basically just wait for you to die. Because there's no treatment. I mean, you just saw it. Like we were running out of ventilators, for people early on, and then eventually we got treatments for it. They have none of those. Now I'm running a fever so severe I can only sit on the floor. All I do is sit on the floor. I can't get through to anyone on the phone right now. That's the other thing. They can shut your phone off. I met a woman from our factory management downstairs. She was told to ask the property management, see what they would say, and then send the recording to her. The property management said that I should use Meituan to buy meals from the designated point, and it will be delivered. I looked up at the distance, and the quickest it would take was 40 minutes to get here. And I have to download it too, and I don't know how to make a purchase. Now isn't it going to drive people to death? I have a fever and can't even sit on a stool. God damn it. Let alone climb into bed. Look, this bed is so high, I can't even get up there. Because you can't breathe, because it's COVID. And the other thing, too, is when they come and get you, everyone take a look at this Foxconn. The employees went to work and then returned to the dormitory, seeing all the things in the dormitory were being thrown away. That's the other thing, too. So if you get a COVID diagnosis, you're taken away to a camp for 2 weeks, and then they disinfect your apartment. They kill your pets, and they disinfect your apartment. Like, the killing of the pets thing is so ridiculously fucked up, and it is not even, they don't even do it in some sort of like oddly humane way. They had to pass a law in the Shanghai district that they would just drag pets out and beat them to death. It was just awful. And so in these buildings, you're gone for 2 weeks, and when you come back, half your stuff's just been thrown away. Fuck disinfected. They just destroy it. People are like gathering food out of hallways from refuse. They're finding like food in the trash. This is where they're all using power. The party secretary at Foxconn, Zhengzhou. Yeah. More than 200,000 people in Foxconn's Zhengzhou plant. What is she saying?
To handle the situation, but due to little external support, the company was unable to shore up the situation alone and had to concede to let the employees in the plant go home on their own. The woman...
There literally aren't enough cops to stop them. What about the WHO? Are they not able to intervene in some way? No. The Chinese do not let them in. And it has nothing to do with this. By the way, what the fuck's the WHO going to do? Give them the vaccine? China has turned it down. The UN and WHO have no entry availability. Yeah. So I for one, yeah, they can't. That's right, Bob. They can't arrest us all kind of mentality is finally what it takes. They are revolting. That's what I'm saying. This is a revolt.
Challenged everyone in response to outside criticism that Foxconn has failed to secure supplies.
Yeah, if you are investing in China right now, building a factory, expanding a factory, or expecting to keep that factory there, first of all, you are using slave labor. There is no way right now to have a factory in China that does not use slave labor. It's not possible. Now, you can't even pretend to not know that anymore. When they found out they were forcing Uyghurs to work at some of these places, especially in the cotton fields and in the cotton processing plants, companies signed on to saying, "Hey, we're not going to do this unless China can guarantee us that there are no Uyghurs present in this." And then China just said, "Nah, fuck you, not going to do it." So a lot of the companies just started looking for other ways to move out. Now we're in a situation where I don't know how anybody can live under the illusion that you can have a factory right now that won't use forced labor, which is slavery, and that it will even be profitable if you do. Where are you going to find that this is going to be a sustainable economic situation, even if you're awful enough to think it's okay? Yeah. And by the way, the leftover people at Foxconn are basically just living in squalor in what's left of the place, because maybe 85, 90% of the people have fucked off. And so a bunch of the people don't have anywhere to go. So they're basically living in this post-apocalyptic hellscape. It's like a fucking zombie movie. We're all, it's the day after the zombies have all died. And they're like, nothing exists. Everybody got eaten. What the fuck do we do? There's no food coming in. Is this everywhere in China? No, it is. But it's a lot. It's happening a lot. This is just where the footage is coming out, because Foxconn itself it's a very tech-oriented place. So everybody's got phones. Everybody knows how to use a VPN. Anybody who works there or is working in conjunction with that place, or is in and out of that place and interacts with people from that place, knows exactly how to get around the great firewall, knows exactly how to use all the technology that's at their fingertips. So more video is getting out than, say, from the other places where it's like wheat fields and fucking farming and shit like that. While I'm on this fucking topic, if I may, and this is I think this is a line for PCR tests, a mandatory 3-day PCR test. And by the way, the Chinese government has said, one of the ministers has said that they're going to continue. Look at this fucking spraying fucking bleach. They are disinfecting roadways in October of 2022. How are you thinking Elon Musk may not be the smartest man on the planet? I know for a fact he isn't. He's using what would be the sort of like the Apple model of surround yourself with smart people, talk in terms of what's possible and see how close you can get to it all the time. Never heard any of this, Nancy? Oh, this is, we're not even getting started. The idea, by the way, that China is quote unquote going to eat our lunch, or that any of the economic indicators coming out of the country are real, is hilarious garbage. What is Apple's position on the situation? They're moving out. They have, they've still got, this alleged contract to complete certain amount of iPhones and other shit at Foxconn for a while, but they're on their way out. But they're moving to Vietnam. They're setting up a factory in India. Yeah. But the iPhone 14 mostly was made at Foxconn, or was going to be made at Foxconn, which is one of the big worries about Apple's stock, because where the fuck they going to make this? Now, one of the upsides to this is that Apple had enough of them made, and this isn't, China's not the only place they make them, but this is the primary one. Had enough of them made, and demand is low because the phones are fine. We are reaching, technology is inherently deflationary, because the way you improve on technology is to make it faster, make it do more at a cheaper price. Even if the price seems to go up with the phone, the capability of a modern iPhone is fucking ridiculous. It's basically a computer from 30 years ago. And so even by comparison, what you're getting at the price point is off the charts, right? So most people don't, you're going to see, as long as there's a level of like maintenance to keep shit running, that we're almost at what I would effectively say is like the Turing test moment for computers, where we sort of reach this. I've always said that the Turing test to see if AI is sentient, also I would call it SI, it's not AI, it's synthetic intelligence, not artificial intelligence, it's not fake, it's made up, which is different. And if SI ever becomes sentient, I'm sure it would prefer to be called synthetic than fake. And if it's going to get mad and kill us all, that might be the cause of it. So I would suggest we stop using artificial intelligence before it happens. But anyways, the Turing test is effectively stupid because it's not about the qualifications of the actual software. It's not about whether or not, it is sentient yet, or it can think for itself, or it achieves some sort of level of consciousness. It's about whether or not it fools us into thinking so. The Turing test is about whether a human believes they are talking to another human. That's not hard to do. Never has been. You can actually, look at anybody who's standing next to a ventriloquist with a dummy or next to a puppeteer at Sesame Street, and it takes them about all of 30 seconds to start talking to the puppet. You look it right in the eyes and you talk to it when it's talking, even though you full on know that the person is making the voice and you're really talking to this person, right? You're talking to this person, but you look at the dummy. That's the whole thing. Like, look at the ventriloquist, not at the dummy. That's a human habit, and it's not hard to trick. The uncanny valley happens in synthesized, humans, where they make kind of a digital replication of a human, or a video game version, where something's just a little off, and you're like, I don't know what it is. This looks really real, but there's something fucked up about it. That's what that is. Oh, thank you, Jeffrey. You got gifted. Oh, I'm glad. Thanks. Funky Buddha did that, I think, maybe. Thanks, Funky Buddha. So anyways, I just wanted to catch you guys up on this kind of shit, because again, this stuff is happening with the Iranians are, burning headscarves. This is a giant movement. Again, in Iran, you pull this shit, you can end up dead very quickly. Iran protesters grabbed a cleric's turban off his head. Hold on, let's see if I can grab this. There you go. They took it off his head and they threw it out. They grabbed it. They're like, look, not only do women not have to wear this, but you're not better than us because your head is wrapped up. That's amazing. The fuck? Think about that for a second. This dude, and by the way, this dude's giving him the finger. He's literally walking by this cleric, giving him the finger. That dude is one phone call away from the mullahs who run the goddamn place. There's another guy, they're doing this, they're walking, knocking the cleric's fucking tops off. And by the way, this is not in the streets of Brooklyn where it's just bigots acting out. These are people who have been under the thumb of these fucking guys for decades. And they're like, it's like knocking the king's crown off. Yeah, there's another one. Boop. Like, this is like a thing now. It's like a fucking meme. Hey man, your shoes untied. Doink. Hey, nice hat. And then hold on, people are filming this. They're like talking to the dude like, hey, who do you think you are, buddy? I run the place. And then zank, they're knocking turbans off fucking people. in Iran. And this was all started because the morality police grabbed a bunch of women, a few women off the street, and they took a woman and she died while she was in their care. And they said it was just, she had a medical emergency and it wasn't her fault. And everybody on the ground, they're saying, no, they beat her and she died from her internal injuries. That's the word that's coming out. But again, this kind of goes to the Derek Chauvin thing. Even if you didn't cause the harm, while someone is in your care as a police officer where they cannot leave, if I have you in a situation where I've arrested you and you cannot leave and you have a medical emergency, you're now my responsibility. If I don't do everything I can to save you from that thing, then I'm as responsible as your heart for attacking you. Same thing with Derek Chauvin. If all the people on the right who think that, it was fentanyl and that's really what killed him, I got news for you, fucko. That doesn't matter. The fact that they just stayed on him while his heart stopped and he stopped breathing and they fucking knew it and they didn't roll him over and start CPR right fucking away means it's their fault. That's murder. If you intentionally, you know that if you don't help this person, they're going to die, and your job is to make sure they don't. If it's to protect and serve, you're not some fucking bystander, then that you're participating in their demise. Sorry. Nobody on the right who drops this bullshit, it was fentanyl that killed George Floyd, so it's not Chauvin, and it was what? Fuck you. Because I guarantee if those guys who were holding him down went, oh shit, this guy's not breathing, if they'd have rolled him over and started CPR and even just said, I think we got an overdose, and that was all of it would have ended. Even if he passed away. All the unrest, all that kind of stuff, there might have been some stuff, but not on the scale we saw it. It was the fact that they didn't give a rat's ass. They didn't give a shit. They stood on him while they died. And Summer and I, my girlfriend and I talked about this a lot. You know how when you're sleeping all cuddled up to somebody and you're like watching a movie together or you're just both in bed and when your partner has gone to sleep because their body relaxes, their breathing changes, they shift. It's different because as soon as you go to sleep, you give, right? There is no fucking way that one of those 4 cops that was on him didn't notice that when his heart stopped beating. Yeah, you go absolutely limp. I've done, like you guys know, I've done CPR multiple times. I've been there when I had one guy, the guy at LAX that I was doing CPR on him. I got a pulse back. He rolled his eyes for a second and was like semi-gasping, and then he just went, ugh, and that was it. And I had to keep doing compressions on him. His heart stopped twice. I knew it. I could tell. I wasn't even touching him at that point. I had my hand on his head and I had my hand on his arm because I thought he was coming back. I wasn't on his chest. I wasn't on his, my arms weren't over his body where I would feel the collapse of it. So there's no excuse. There's no fucking excuse. And the same thing is true of, when they're talking about the woman who died in their care. I don't give a the folks that are saying, well, she had a medical, I don't give a shit. Could she leave and get a doctor on her own? Could she go out and fucking, I'm freaking out. I think I'm having a heart attack. My blood sugar's dropping. I know I have, or spiking. I have diabetes and whatever. I've got this headache. I'm dizzy. Somebody needs to take me to a hospital. Would she have been able to do that? The answer is no. Then fuck you. It's your fault. It's your responsibility, especially if you didn't do anything about it. You don't even have to be successful. You just have to try. And they didn't. And so they're responsible for her death. In the same way that Derek Chauvin and those other cops are equally responsible too. Because I think the weight of Chauvin being the one, you could argue that the rest of those guys were equally responsible. If you believe that he died of a fentanyl overdose, then all of those cops are equally responsible. Then it's not just on Chauvin. Because it wasn't in that theory, it wasn't the kneeling on the neck that did it. He was just one of 4 guys who was on top of him. Any of them could have spotted it. Any of them could have said, oh shit, rolled him over, equally culpable. So you're not saying in that argument that Derek Chauvin is somehow, innocent in this situation. What you're saying is the other 3 cops are equally as guilty. Got it? Okay. That's rant over. Whew. So now, obviously, between what I've shown you, the unrest, the riots, the stuff going on in, let's see if I can do this too. 1 second. Let's see if let's see if we can get this in here. So meanwhile, Russian soldiers are being denied leave, are underpaid, are using guns from 1910. And so, yeah, so here you go. 100 conscripted Russian soldiers staged a protest over payment in Ulyanovsk. And hold on. They were promised payment. Okay, this video won't have it. Hold on. Let me see if I can find that's a month ago. Let me see if I can, give me a second because I want to find the latest on this. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here you go. This is the actual footage of it right here. So I've shown you this earlier. It was on Twitter as well and some other places. Just people filming out here. But these are just Russian soldiers who are demanding pay, and so they're protesting about that. And then they're being met with National Guard troops, who, by the way, are in line to be in their exact same shoes. And the argument is like, if you don't stop these guys, we'll send you to the front. Fucking hell. Like, talk about a no-win situation. So I just showed you 3 fucking areas on the earth where protests are happening on a scale that I don't even know if people can wrap their head around. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you can, like, well, here, I'll show. Okay. Let's jump in here real quick with one of our dumb irregulars and a man who is wearing, I guess, his Hogwarts professor audition suit for the country music musical of Harry Potter, the Sorcerer's Dolt. And this is why a diesel shortage would lead to disaster. These fuckers aren't even calling what's going on in China, Iran, and Russia right now a disaster, Harry Squatter. Watch it. So, yes. Sonic the Hedge Fund over here. Yeah, Harry Pothead. We may ditch out on this because he's not going to say anything worth fucking hearing. And it's all just a bait to get to the commercial break. I can always tell in these 13-minute clips because it's top to tails from one break to another. And he just rambles in the last 3 minutes so that he can go to break like that. It's fucking, ugh, god damn it. So let's give it a shot. This is a disaster. This is, let's hear
Not
it.
only knows what to expect next week. Listen to JPK or KJP
passing the USMC.
on what she was asked yesterday at the White House. Listen to this. Cut 10.
Given the number of Republicans who have said they won't accept the results and just the unpredictability of this election compared to others, is the White House doing any contingency planning for election night or the day after? People not accepting results if violence breaks out. How are you guys thinking about that?
So a couple of things. I've been asked about this before, and I want to be clear and say this again. Americans should feel free, safe. They should feel safe.
Can we stop? I can't even listen to her answer. She's reading it.
all right, fucko, they reference stuff because it's not her saying it. You, as the spokesperson for the White House, you are not extemporaneously speaking about a topic. You are conveying the message that agreed upon by the White House about certain topics. And in the modern era, we're not pulling a Chevy Chase and Spies Like Us going, are there any Paraguayans here? No, our argument is that it's not Paraguayan, as it were. But I think you'll find that try to, obviously we would, but Mike is cutting out. So anyways, lunch date, so I must go. They're not doing that. They're not fucking doing that. All right.
A giant.
Oh, hold on. It keeps triggering. I don't know why, but it keeps triggering the Trump one from last night. I got this bullshit from last night. I'll open this later. So hold on.
And she is the absolute worst.
I've never seen.
Also, let her answer it before you criticize the actual answer.
Anything like this. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this where a person is so clearly unqualified for their jobs. She has.
Stu. Dude. You're a fucking sidekick. I would about to say sit the fuck down, but when do we ever see him standing? All right. Let's just jump to this then. Stu, what does Stu do for a fucking living? Here's what Stu does for a living. Stu has a show called Stu Does America, a talk show where he has one guest. Is this in the fucking contract? The fuck out of here. God. What's beefing Stu? Stu Does America. That's you do realize, Stu, you do realize Glenn was fucking with you when he made you take that title, right? Even if it was your idea, as a friend, you should intervene. Stu, that's not a good idea. It sounds like you're fucking everyone in the country. And considering how you talk and your lack of knowledge on almost anything, and the fact that you go to Glenn Beck for technical issues, holy shit. I'm just saying, I think he got your goat with this one. Also, the attempt at wearing kind of a, Reservoir Dog suit every time, fucking hell. All right, so here you go. This is Glenn Beck makes his final midterm predictions. This was the clip I was going to do, and then I wanted to show you something.
Are you in full-fledged election alert mode? That's where I am right now. We're only a few days away.
Stu is in full-fledged election alert mode because the election is Tuesday, and they do political programming for a living, and he has no other life. So what the fuck?
I was just saying before we came on that
We don't care what you were saying before you came on. Say it now.
I'm really sleepy right now. by this time next week, oh my gosh, we're going to be, because it is so much that is happening right now.
Wow, this is great. You know what? I take it all back. This is some of the most concise, clear, laser-focused political commentary I've ever heard.
Now, and I am excited. Is
it panic? Is it nervousness?
No,
is it
it's
excitement?
actually excitement.
Okay.
It's excitement. However, it's tapped down just a little bit because this one, if we don't get it right, I don't know if there's a chance of survival by 2024. Okay? I just don't know.
Stakes are high.
Okay, so by the way, this is not how you talk if you think there's going to be a red wave. Democrats are talking about this because they're nervous about it because they've seen all the polling lately that's all been Republican firms that have been dumped in the last couple of weeks to try and motivate, we're going to win. And because Republicans are only motivated by the idea that they can win. If they don't think they're going to win, they're not even going to fucking bother. And that's been one of the biggest problems with their turnout in a lot of places, simply because they've been told by Trump that voting sucks and it's not important and it's all rigged and yada yada. So it's hard enough to get them motivated, except for like, oh, we're going to take it. We're going to show them. We're going to send crazy Nancy Pelosi back to San Francisco. That whole thing. That's the only thing that motivates them. They've seen the real polls. It ain't good. Things are close in certain areas, but and everybody's pushing. And the Democrats have no reason to act like it's anything but close because fear is a great motivator. People are going to get out, but there's so much more motivation on the Democratic side.
Stakes are high, and it's a real kind of. Well,
yeah, because Stu and Glenn are both women, and they're worried about their rights being taken away.
Not sure we're a constitutional republic in 2024.
But other than
that,
it should be fine.
But I also know, and as I'll lay out tonight, you remember when Biden...
Yes, not on this show. Later, on my show, the real show.
Biden won, and he immediately came out and said, there will be no riots tonight. There's nobody out on the street tonight. Remember, and they had the website, to organize all these protests, and they said, it's 6 o'clock tonight, we're going to be in the streets of Washington. And then he said, no. We'll show you tonight how that was called off. That was all planned, coordinated, ready to go.
Okay. Did you guys get the apparently the Democratic riot flyer when on the night Biden won? Like, oh, if he doesn't win by Saturday afternoon, we're going to burn the place down. And then he was like, nope, called off. What the fuck?
They called it off.
Okay. Again, this goes to the Biden is an old, doddering man who can't finish a sentence, but he's the head of a giant crime cartel, and he has apparently hypnotic control over Antifa and BLM rioters.
Okay, we're going to get into that tonight. It's going to be very interesting.
So I think that we're headed...
No, it isn't. Stu, stop it. I know he's sitting right there, but fuck off with this. It's your show. You don't have to tell him it's going to be interesting. It's not.
For a really tough 2 years. They're not going to give up. It's not like, the Republicans, we've learned our lesson. They're going to, do whatever they have to do.
Luckily, you're tired.
By the way, I don't know if he means Republicans or Democrats in that little character moment. Did you guys get it? I think he means Democrats, but...
Give up. It's not like...
Who's the they?
We're headed for a really tough 2 years. They're not going to give up. It's not like, the Republicans, we've learned our lesson. They're going to, do whatever they have to do.
Luckily.
Again, I don't know who the fuck he's talking about. I think at the beginning, I thought he meant the riots are going to the Democrats are going to set the rioters loose if we lose, which we aren't. Yeah, but I thought he meant Democrats at the beginning, and then he kind of changed into the Republicans, we learned our lesson because the Republicans won? Is that where we're going? Jesus.
You're tired, but you have nothing going on between now and Election Day, where you'll be up until the middle of the night. You are going to Utah tomorrow, I think?
Tomorrow, in between the television show. I got to do a TV show, then the podcast, then I get on a plane and go right to... I think it's in St. George to campaign with Mike Lee. Then I fly back to do.
Oh, so he's leaving the show, leaving his little Jonestown, hilltop, Ayn Rand TV studio / ranch, his Reverend Gene Scott compound, to go campaign with the dude who said, point of privilege, Mr. Chairman, if I may, let me go to the tweets. He's not fucking tooling around with just anybody. He's going to go around with this fucking guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Lee. Here's Mike Lee saying the quiet part loud while jamming his finger in the air.
My objective to phase out Social Security, to pull it up by the roots and get rid of it. People who advise me politically always tell me that's dangerous, and I tell them, in that case, it's not worth my running. That's why I'm doing this, to get rid of that. Medicare and Medicaid are of the same sort and need to be pulled up. Be my objective to phase out Social Security, to pull it up by the roots and get rid of it.
To pull it up, to phase out Social Security, to pull it up by the roots and get rid of it. And that, of all the things, of all the people that are campaigning, from Dr. Oz to whoever, as starfuckery as Glenn Beck can be, what's getting him off his KFC and Sonic fueled derriere and onto a plane to go help somebody? He's going to go help the guy who wants to pull up Social Security by its roots. After that video came out. Oh my gosh, thank you, Bjorn. America, I'm rooting for you in democracy. Thank you. It's in good hands. I think you'll be okay, Bjorn. Thank you. But yeah.
Do the radio show in the morning.
What's your sense on the Mike Lee
You're assuming he has any
race? I mean, there hasn't been a ton of polling there.
Yeah, what's your sense now that the video about him saying he wants to phase out Social Security and pull it up by the roots, and that Medicare and Medicaid are of the same sort?
The latest poll came out, had Mike Lee up 10 or 11. There's been a lot of polls that show it much closer. Internal polling from the McMullen campaign shows him ahead, of course, which is always a surprise when you see that from internal polling.
I think, traditionally, I would think Mike's going to win by 10, 11, 12 points, okay? And I think that could happen, but only if people, and this is going to happen in every state in the union, only if people don't get arrogant and they're not counting on it, so they don't go, yeah, I was going to go vote, I didn't have time. Get to the ballot box. Get to the ballot box.
Okay, so notice how they're starting to talk like I talk about voting. You don't take it for granted. You keep doing it, especially after 2015, 2016. Right? The lesson of 2018 was get the fuck out there. Okay, voting is already up with Democrats. And the idea is that, well, yeah, that's just because that's most of the people who are going to vote, period. And most of the voters are happening. So once the Republicans show up on voting day, it's going to be a fucking swamp.
Box. Because I don't think the Republicans, my guess is the Democrats are going to stay home. They will underwhelm the polling places. Except
all right, so that's the plan. That's what you think is going to happen. You think Rovember's going to be, they're just going to lay back? Are you out of your fucking mind? Dude, that's not even happening right now. That's the fuck we are. But seriously, this is how, I'm sorry, my hair being up is bothering you? There, you happy now? Somebody was bugged by my hair being back in founding father style. You didn't receive a notification? Oh dear. I'm being shadow banned. Apparently Elon Musk is making phone calls because I've been fucking with him too much.
Yeah, in early voting a little bit so far.
Yeah, a great deal, a great deal. So I don't think they're excited. And it's all about, especially on midterms, who's excited? Who's going to...
This is brilliant. This is fucking brilliant. Yeah, they're excited to vote for Oz. You know who's, of all of the Republicans that are running, the only one that there's genuine excitement about is Carrie fucking Lake, because she's a lunatic. The Republicans aren't excited about Walker. The Republicans aren't excited even about DeSantis at this point. The most excitement about DeSantis is from people out of state.
going to go out and do it. Midterms, most of my life, midterms have come and gone, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's right, that happened. I didn't do it. Now, this one, at least...
Apparently, Glenn Beck is telling this that he's been mildly drunk in the fall in off years.
Half the country And that includes some people who used to probably voted for Joe Biden even.
No. No. No, you're not. They're not a bunch of Biden voters or even a measurable amount that are going, you know what? It's been 2 years and sure, you got an infrastructure bill passed and it's nice to have, rural broadband and where our country's economy is pounding everybody else's. The dollar's never been stronger. The stock market, even with all the Fed hits, is over 32K. And, no. And we're out of Afghanistan. And we had forgave a bunch of student loans. Get the fuck out of here.
Are now on full alert. They're like, this is a problem. And those people who are awake are motivated. The people who are just voting, like they always vote, they're not motivated. Even if you like the Democrats, you're seeing what's going on. And you're like, I don't want to vote for them again. And
oh my God. Like the amount of fucking projection in this. I don't know. I don't even want to. That's exactly what's happening on the Republican side. This dude is a moron. And the fact that he's acting like that 2020 is kind of like average, run of the mill. Let's see. Early voting. Let's just see nationwide where we are. Voting nationwide by party. Let's get. Whoops. My computer is getting overheated these days too. So, look, it follows me around, but I don't have enough green screen. Follow me back over. There you go. Tracking early voting in the 22 midterm elections by state. Here we go. All right. So, right now, we got 45% Democrats. And by the way, this isn't of Democrats. Like 45% of Democrats have voted early. 36% of Republicans, 19% of independents are unaffiliated by party. Let's see. What's our age like? 65 or older. That's because most of those folks mail in their votes. The big groups that have grown in this are this one, 40 to 49 and 50 to 64. The 50 to 64 group, which was your poorest group as far as voting. Nobody, like 18 to 29, even that group is like 18 to 24 is really the breakdown there. In 18 to 24-year-olds, it's a different group every fucking election. Every time a senator comes around for re-election, it's a different group of 18 to 24-year-olds. So these folks don't vote twice most of the time, or they'll vote twice and that's it. Because by the time they vote twice, they're in this group, and then by the time they've voted 3 times, they're in this group because of the passage of time. But anyway, so that's party registration, age, and then let's look at gender. Right now, 53% of voters are women, and 45% of early voters are men, and then there's a little smidgen of other. Now, you know what that means? That means that this 19% right here, there's a bigger chunk of it. There's 6% advantage to females in this situation, which means in this particular group, it's larger. And then what does vote type mean? Mail in and in person. Okay, so most people are mailing in, 56, but 44. A lot of people are walking their shit in. Look at California. Look at the mail in. 98%. Oregon, mail in. 100%. Washington, mail in. Look at Alaska. 55%. It's a big fucking state spread over a lot of area. Mail in and then in person is still 45%. What's the biggest early vote? Here's Texas. Mail in the in person, people are walking these things in. Let me scroll this down for you. Texas, most people are walking theirs in. Same with Louisiana. 100% in person. They've got 353,000. Arkansas has 325,000. Texas's is 4 million. That's a significant amount. But California's got 3 million mail-in votes. And Tennessee has, let's see, look at Georgia, because that's mostly in-person walk-in because of how they do it, because nobody trusts the system. So you're looking at 2 million there. We click on Georgia. Mail-in ballots requested by party registration. 59% of Democrats, of the mail-in ballots requested, and this is always weird when you look at these things, 59% of people who requested a mail-in ballot were Democrats, and 31% were Republicans, 10% independents. Mail-in and early person votes cast so far. And these are people who requested after the fact or something like that. Let's see, party registration. So you're at 49% Democrats have voted early, 42% Republican, 9% independent. Gender, this will give us a picture, 56% women, 44% men. Vote type, 91% of people are walking it in. Those are people who don't trust the mail. See, okay, there we go. These are the people running. Here we go. And then shall we look at Michigan? Yeah, so here's Michigan. Michigan's an interesting mix. So, almost evenly spread, but mail-in ballots requested, 49% are Democrats. And again, this is all the mail-in ballots that were requested. They were requested, almost 50% of them were requested by Democrats. This is the division that's happening in the Republican Party right now. This is the MAGA versus standard Republicans idea and the mishmash between these two groups. And then same thing here, party registration, 50% right on the nose, and then 50% split between Republicans and independents. The question here is, do independents throw more Republican or do they throw more Democrat? Ultimately, it doesn't fucking matter. If this plays out in Michigan, anywhere close to this, in the same kind of numbers, and if Democrats get any of the independents, they win. That's what puts them over the 51, 52%. Let's look at, because you can get in there, of course, Kentucky, Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama. It's one of the reasons they keep such a lock on these fucking states. Let's see. And somebody was asking about, who was asking about? Damn how I'm independent and I damn well matter. I know you do, Seema Go Nuts. And I'm glad you vote that way. However, shit or get off the pot. I love you, but you can come over. I suppose it's the same argument that atheists have with agnostics. Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's the other one. So Pennsylvania, check this out. Look at the mail-in votes requested. 1.4 million requested for this particular election. 69% of them are Democrats. Mail-in and early person votes cast, 70% are Democrats. Now, in these states, a lot of these folks are going to show up in person. But that's a huge fucking number to overwhelm. A million votes here have been cast in person, 1.4 million, so there's still 400,000 outstanding. And the question is, the ones that have been cast or in person are 70% Democrats. That they're up a point, which means if there's been people who've requested one and haven't sent it in, they're in the independent category or in the Republican Party, which means there's still that ballot outstanding. And if they walk in, they're gonna, go. They're either gonna drop it off on the day, which is totally fine, whatever, or they're gonna forget about it and blow it off. Yeah. Yeah, it's a 500,000 vote advantage to Dems in the state, right? So, and again, there's a bunch of states like Wisconsin. Let's take a look at Wisconsin right now. Wisconsin's, in theory, tighter than other places because you've got a lot more people voting in person. And this is it's very age related. So if you look here, much bigger group, 47%. Of the 65 and older, and 10% are unknown. I don't know how old I am. We just put dirt on the age thing on their driver's license. 25%, though, is a reasonable group of people in the 50 to 64 range. But here's the interesting part. And this is fascinating. There's a bunch of, like, an independent streak here. You've got 37% party registration and mail-out ballots requested, and the number of returned is almost identical. And again, if there's a plurality of independents that go Democratic because of they don't like Ron Johnson, or because of abortion, or women who have registered but didn't put a party affiliation, and it throws the Democrats' way, that settles it. So that'll that's up in the air. We'll see. And then, yeah. Anyway, so this is. I just want to point out the fact that Glenn does not know what the fuck he's talking about.
I'm not voting for the Republicans.
What is there about the
Hey, me neither.
the culture of Utah specifically that makes this a close race?
What's the culture of Utah that makes this a... They're old, dummy. And they don't want their Social Security taken away. Mike Lee was fucking fine until he said the quiet part loud.
Why would they be interested in...
I was at the NBC News Decision 22 website, just so you know. Somebody was asking.
Silicon Valley. Utah, in particular, there's a place between Salt Lake and Provo that is now Silicon Valley. All the high tech from California is moving into Utah. And the culture is changing.
Fucking hippie, Jack Dorsey, bald heads with beards, steampunk fuckers rolling in between Provo, which is, by the way, where the Stanwicks live. Marvin and Velma of Provo, Utah. That was those are three of my favorite names: Marvin, Velma, and Provo.
Great deal. I love people who move into a place and like, so great here, everybody's so friendly, and the families, and there's so much to do with families, and you can trust everything. Let's bring everything from California. So the culture is changing there.
Yes. It's so lovely that you can go outside, you can go hiking. There's a bunch of bigots, but we'll deal with that in a second.
A great deal. And I think it's like this in any culture. When you have...
By the way, the people who are moving out to the middle of nowhere, and they're not building giant facilities. They're not moving fucking Cupertino in between Salt Lake City and fucking Provo. These are people buying giant ranches, setting up, Starlink or getting good internet and working from there. They all want to be the fucking lead character in Ex Machina.
When you have strong churches, you also have strong darkness.
Oh, so it's the church's fault. Thanks for clearing that up, dum-dum. If you have strong churches, yes, the brighter the light, the darker the shadows. I think this is something we all understand. If
You know what I mean? So the people...
No, I don't know what you mean, dummy.
...who are anti-Mormon aren't just anti-Mormon. They're anti-religious, okay? And that's a different breed of people. And so you have that. But what's shocking...
And again, what? How the fuck? Because people moved from Cupertino to Utah, and they moved there just to destroy religion. What the fuck? How does he know? How does he know it's not a bunch of like Mormon angel investors who just decide, oh, I can come home now. It doesn't matter where I work from. What a dick.
...is how fast it is changing there.
It's terrible. It's like somebody put the Spawn Ranch right in the middle of Provo and Salt Lake City.
And I still just can't imagine that Mike wouldn't win. I mean, it's still a really nice place to be. I mean...
Jesus Christ. Yeah, it will be. Until he takes away Social Security and all those people are eating fucking cat food out in the woods.
They're trying to paint Mike Lee as a radical.
How dare they? Why would they paint Mike Lee as a fucking radical? I mean, that's just radical.
My objective to phase out Social Security, to pull it up by the roots and get rid of it. People who advise me politically always tell me that's dangerous, and I tell them, in that case, it's not worth my running. That's why I'm doing this, to get rid of that. Medicare and Medicaid are of the same sort and need to be pulled up.
Yeah, there's nothing radical about pulling up Social Security by the roots. Glenn, are you a fucking lunatic?
He still says, gosh. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, gosh, I never knew old people could eat so much cat food. Come here and check this out, Marge. This old lady's got quite the appetite.
golly, that was amazing. He's not a
I don't give a fuck if he doesn't say fuck, you fuckhead. Fuck you. He's gonna steal food from old people. Are you nuts? I don't know. Again, this whole idea where somehow, like, verbal cleanliness, your vocabulary being church ready all the time somehow makes you a good person. If you watch the Jeffrey Dahmer story, he says dang it a lot. He doesn't say fuck you, Grandma. He says, dang it, I'm gonna dang it. Oh, darn it. Oh, dang it.
radical.
No.
Radical! Radical, Chuck. Radical. Radical.
So I grew up in the Northeast, on the East Coast of the country. So the
Oh, yeah, so you're a New York elite, Ivy League prick. Okay.
West is sort of like a foreign land to me. I don't
Yeah.
That's because you're an ignorant asshole who doesn't travel.
really understand it. You've always talked about how it's so much different.
It's very
It's not. Fuck you. What are you talking about?
different.
Talk about the Pacific
Tell me how different it is. What's it like? Be my eyes, Glenn. Be my eyes. Fuck.
Northwest a little bit, because there's two races there. We've got
White people and whiter people. No, that's not what he's talking about.
a Senate race in Washington that is uncomfortably close for Democrats, and a gubernatorial race in Oregon, which the Republicans seems to be leading right now. What is going on up there? Oh.
Yeah, it's not like it's your fucking job all the time. You have to understand, Stu, Glenn doesn't know anything at all. Ask him. He'll tell you. I don't know much about anything, but I can tell you this. Like, he starts off almost every fucking segment that way.
The Pacific Northwest is actually there. When I was growing up there, and it's still part of the culture, there's this idea of Cascadia that they would break off from the United States. Okay, you think Texas, secede? No. It's not because they're super Texans who are even more American than Americans. These guys are Cascadians, and it's this real hippie kind of progressive socialist. Seattle has a statue of Karl Marx in Seattle when I was growing up. Okay, it's crazy people. My father used to say the people who
Yes, for those of you who don't know, if you've ever been to Seattle, the Space Needle is designed after something that was in one of Stalin's notebooks. The fuck are you talking about?
Who are too crazy for California move up here. Okay, and
is that how? So your dad was too crazy for California? What was it that made him too crazy for California? That he wanted to go further than the Manson family? What the fuck are you?
What's happening right now, I think that because...
Oh, dear. This is the noise he makes with his face when he's making shit up.
Because it is so crazy in those particular places, in Portland and Seattle.
Excuse me, there is no Portland. Portland has been destroyed. Portland, there's a giant gaping crater in the ground where it used to be. Get used to the idea.
And I was just up with my aunt and uncle who live just south of Seattle. And
which is basically Portland. It's right by the Portland crater.
You know, they've lived on the same street my whole life, in the same house my whole life. And they're like, you don't, no. You don't go walking around the neighborhood. It's changed. And crime is...
Well, it's not the regular people. It's because of you, Glenn. People used to put up with your shit around here, Glenn. Now our neighbors want to throttle you. It's weird.
Really affecting people. All of the regulations that Washington State puts on people, it's making things 100 times
Yeah, you can only be so tall. It's terrible.
worse. And the policies are verifiably nuts now. And it's not like these
Such
are
as?
new ideas. Hey, let's reimagine the police. Okay, I'm reimagining. Now that we've had the gunfire during the reimagining, we all go, I don't think we should reimagine. And so I think that's what's happening. There are enough people.
All right, again, what the living shit is he talking about? What policies? What is he talking about? They didn't ultimately defund the police. They tried that they tried talking the Chad thing down because there were so many people in it. They're like, we got to dissolve this slowly. We're not going to roll through with fucking tanks and make it worse and have some sort of Occupy bloodbath bullshit going on. We have no interest in that. And then those fuckers in the Chad and the CHOP, or whatever you want to call it, because they changed names twice, killed 2 black teenagers. Yeah, they murdered them in the name of security for the CHOP and the Chad. And then they stripped the vehicle in the crime scene so that there wouldn't be any evidence of who killed the 2 black teenagers in the CHOP Chaz fucking Antifa town. And Trump's like, I was going to come in, and then they shut it down. Bullshit. That happened. And then the Seattle mayor and the chief of police said, okay, enough.
That, like the earth and everything else, but they don't want to tube everything to save the salmon.
Right.
They don't want to tube everything to save the salmon? That sounds dirty. I'm just saying.
That's interesting. Because, it seems like that was so fully embraced for such a long time.
Right.
But maybe...
No, it wasn't.
Reality hitting people in the face.
And
no, it fucking wasn't.
In Oregon, you got to remember half of the state. In fact, if you would cut it up, do you know what Idaho looks like? It kind of comes down like this and then has a big block and then kind of goes up. If you looked at Oregon and you could cut away the red part, it would only be a little sliver right on the coastline up towards the north.
Yes. And that would gut red representation in the fucking country because it would make those people part of Idaho, which has even less representation. It wouldn't give them enough to give them more Congress people. It would still keep them under that fucking line. And yet Portland and all those big cities that are on the coast would still create would have most of the population of Oregon. And you'd have right-wingers having less representation. Have at it, dum-dum. It's like all these people are like, we need 2 Californias, and they always want to cut it top to bottom. Like, nah, doesn't work that way, fucko. The coast of California is the blue part. The inland part, which is sparse and deserty and full of a lot of nothing, is the red part. That's where you get your Devin Nunes districts. The part with all the fucking people, that part, that's the part with all the money, and that's the part with all the blue votes. So if you split California in half, that's why they always want to slice it in the middle, like North and South Dakota. No. It's going to be East and West California, and West California is going to be a real fucking giant. It will actually raise the economic strata of the state because it will cut out the impoverished parts and I guess divide them amongst fucking Nevada and whoever the fuck else.
So Oregon, if you cut out all the red...
Oregon? How dare you, sir?
It would just cut out that little slice, almost look like a reverse of Idaho. Just cut out that little slice. And that slice, that bigger portion of Oregon from the ocean all the way to the mountains in the lower half, and about 3/4 of it to the Idaho border, want to break away from Oregon.
Yes, they're inverse Cascadians. They've been talking about it for a long time. And you know what their problem is? There's not enough fucking people there to do it.
Talking about...
Why don't you talk about, like, Eastern Washington State while you're at it?
Becoming Greater Idaho. And it's serious.
Yeah, I'd have to call it Greater Idaho, because Idaho's already great. Gleam. Let me hold on. May I? 1 second. So, Idaho's population is, right now, it's 1.9 million people in the entire state of Idaho. Okay? Now, let's go to Oregon. And the Oregon population, whoo, look at that. 4.2 million people. Oh my God. The entire state of Oregon. Now, let's look at the population of Portland. There you go, 641,000. Let's see, okay. Let's see if I can do what's the other big population? Sorry. Oregon cities population. Let's see if they do this. Okay, so, and then, here we go. Let me throw these in here. Here you go. And here you go. That's the Portland, Salem, Eugene, Gresham, Hillsborough. Big fucking drop-off after Portland, by the way, if I might add. And I think I might. And then let's look at, if we will, this is just for the edification of Stu, since he's fucking the country anyways, or doing America, whatever he wants to call it. Hi, you don't, I'm sorry, you do not, somebody in the chat just said they live in Portland. You do not. Portland does not exist. You are probably on painkillers in a hospital bed, dreaming a dreamy dream of what used to be there in Portland. Now, map of Oregon, if I may. Okay. And here we go. And here's Mr. Dipshit. Now, look at the biggest cities. Portland, Salem, Eugene, Gresham, Hillsborough. Let's see. And let's see, this is, here you go. Portland, Salem, Eugene, Medford, Bend, basically the line he's talking about cutting off this part of Idaho right here that goes straight down like this and making it part of Idaho. This part right here. He's talking about like slicing it right here. Almost everybody who lives in Oregon lives to the left of this line. Now, let's see if I can find this is a better, let me get this guy up here right here. Map of Oregon, here we go. There you go. So, here's Bend, there's Gresham, which is right outside of Portland. These are all this, let's take these, there you go. So, Salem, obviously, is right there. And then Eugene, Gresham, Hillsborough, look at that. Hillsborough, Gresham, and Portland are all in the same fucking area. Salem, Eugene, Medford, let's see, Medford, yeah, there it is. Beaverton, and Corvallis, Albany, Tigard, Grants Pass, Pendleton Enterprise, Jordan Valley. I'm trying to find any that are to the right of that line at all. Oregon City, nope. Bethany, West Lynn. Now we're starting to get into them. Where's Enterprise? Home of the Rent-A-Car. Did I miss it? Jesus Christ. Echo and Duffer. Macomb, Marcola, Foffle. Jesus Christ. Elkton. Come on, you know, I should get it right. Broke Bell Fountain. Shit, I had to have scrolled past it. So basically what Glenn is suggesting is that if the towns that all together contain somewhere in the order of 100,000 people in total, separated from the rest of Oregon, they wouldn't just be a resource suck that now shifted to Idaho. Can that land grow potatoes? All land can grow potatoes. Tubers are notoriously resilient vegetation. Ask the Irish. Don't you know? Irish as can be.
In both states, it's serious.
It's not serious. It's fucking stupid. I just pointed it out. It's ridiculous. Go ahead and do it. Nothing will change. You'll just have more land that Idaho will have to be responsible for. And the only reason that they're not doing it right this fucking minute is they're counting on the functioning government of Oregon to lay down the broadband before Idaho fucks around and finds out.
Very strange time. Actually, I was thinking about my next question.
Oh dear. What's he reaching for, and will it start buzzing?
And I realize I have this.
I realize that I have this right under here.
Right here, which is
damaged. I gave it and it's damaged. I gave it. It was a gift from me, but it's
a photograph of a framed photo of the moment Andrew Cuomo stepped down from office that Glenn gave me when this actually occurred.
I think you.
They're so close. I wish I had friends that got me the way Glenn gets Stu. If only each of us, we all pray for the day when we could find someone that looks at us the way Glenn looks at Stu when Stu isn't looking. What the shit?
You played a big role in this.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. His replacement, Kathy Hochul. Now, Kathy Hochul, who was, look, part of this administration during all of the stuff that went on with Cuomo, now is...
Yes, obviously, if there's, sexual allegations against a male politician, any of the women who worked in his office or were part of the government, obviously culpable.
Is in trouble. Mm-hmm. Are you a believer in Zelmentum?
I actually am. Yeah. I read an article today in the Jerusalem Post that was from a New Yorker, diehard Democrat, and said, look, I didn't realize how deep this was going. She said, but I think New York City...
What is this article about? Jesus.
City is starting to flirt with republicanism. I know. Pum, pum, pum. She said, I was in the hospital for a week, and she said, I couldn't sleep at night, and I was right across from the nurses' station. She said, so I heard all these nurses talk. And she said, some of them are diehard New Yorkers, others are immigrants. And she said, they were bashing the Democratic Party like they were a group of Republicans. And she said, and they weren't Republicans. They were Democrats.
Why? Because they're black or brown? Is that what you were saying? Or because they're women? And also, if you've got a mixed crowd there, got 5 or 6 of them sitting around, half of them are immigrants who apparently aren't from here. Do you think maybe they brought that bashing message with them? Where are they from?
She said something is happening here. And that's the...
Something happening here. Because the Democrats are too good to the quiz. And I say, stop. Hey, what's that sound? Stu is making down underground.
Sense I get from friends in Seattle area too.
His aunt and uncle. Friends? Who?
That something is in the air.
Uh-huh. Something's in the air, all right. That's what happens when you eat too much Sonic.
Where it's changing. If it doesn't change...
I think somebody in that office needs a change.
Change hard this time. and we make it, I think it will change, because they're living in Fantasy Island now. Everybody knows. When Hochul...
I'd like to say for the record, living in Fantasy Island sounds fucking awesome. It was a sad end to Hervé Villechaise's life, but I've always wanted to meet Ricardo Montalban. The man is a saint.
...is saying, I don't know why Zell is talking about crime. There's no crime. And like bullets...
Nobody is saying there's no crime.
...bullets are flying behind her head, you know?
Yeah, nobody is saying there's no crime. Well, like... Glenn Beck says that right after he says people are living in Fantasy Island, and this motherfucker is talking like like he's pitching a Mad Magazine still.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Everyone knows. They're asking you. They've asked you to deny so much, but I think the...
Yes, before the... And 3 times before the cock crows. It's just too much.
Average person...
By the way, you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're so close. We're like, are we at 42K yet? Has anybody checked? Let me know if it happens. Also, if you're on Twitch, Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you a dime if you want to subscribe. And you can, if you're already subscribed, you can gift subscriptions to people. Same thing true with memberships on YouTube. I did my sales pitch. You're welcome. I did it, okay? Leave me alone.
Sees the results and is like, that's not working. And I can't deny that.
Yeah, reality is hitting people in the face.
If you enjoyed this...
I didn't. Reality is hitting people in the face. I thought they were hitting the back of the head with the fantasy bullets that this fucker was talking about. Not yet? Okay, we're almost there. So close. Yeah, this is so stupid. Like this, and again, where am I? Okay, Jesus Christ. Like that one took a while. Although we did do the China stuff at the beginning, which takes up a lot of time. Now, you know, Stu isn't the only star at the Blaze. This Pat Gray has a show. If Stu is doing America, Pat Gray is Unleashed. Pat Gray's he's got an oeuvre, he's got a brand, he's got a style, man. You can't get around. It's too big. You want to get past it in the aisle at the grocery store, you can't. This is a big brand, okay? You're gonna just have to wait till it's done its shopping and gone to the car and driven away so the whole store can go back to normal. He's got a guitar which has a little lightning bolt on it. He's got a lightning bolt on the thing. He's got a lightning bolt right there. I like that he has the first letter or the last letter of my name. But you know, I'm not going to sue. I'm above that. And I'm glad that they had somebody come in and spray paint Pat Gray Unleashed on the faux brick wall they put behind his studio point, because he does not, this will shock everyone, he does this out of the same studio space that Stu does his America show. And Pat only occasionally gets allowed on Glenn's show. Doesn't happen very often, and we're about to find out why. But this is, you know, the Blaze, hey, they're not hurting for subscribers. They got 1.62 million subscribers. They're printing fucking money over there, kids. Just in ads. This video alone, 11,000 views, people. 11,000 for Pat Gray Unleashed. And the story is, Biden is desperate to scare voters. He's trying to scare you, man. He's trying to frighten you. He's trying to paint this picture that the world is bad. And you know what? At the Blaze, they would never try to frighten you with the idea that you can't walk on the street because you'll get killed because crime is rampant and that fentanyl will end up in bags of candy at Halloween. They would never do that to you. And they've got to draw. They will never say that anybody who is a victim of violent crime, that you know about it, they would never downplay that and say that they kind of either had it coming or it was just a lover's tiff between two gay men in San Francisco, and if somebody gets hit in the head with a hammer, it's probably a fetish, and they wouldn't just joke about that and let that roll. No, they take it very fucking seriously. And so, Joe Biden, how dare you, sir? How dare you be a great president and make Stu so upset and try to scare voters so close to Halloween?
We had the wonderful speech from our uniter last night.
I enjoyed it.
The uniter president. He's going to bring the country together.
Stu, stay on mic, dummy.
And wow, has he done a good job of that, or what?
Yeah, he's a
yes, because Stu is literally in the business of being divisive from the Democrats for a fucking living, he's under the impression that Biden hasn't done enough to make him feel comfortable. Even though Stu is of retirement age, and the Republicans are the ones who want to get rid of Social Security. But I'm sure he's got job security. I'm sure Glenn will never kick him to the curb. I'm sure he will never need his Social Security. It'll be like pissing money.
Bro. He's a pro.
Oh, man.
At finding a common cause to unite us on.
Right?
Yeah, you tell, buddy. Is that that's a Pelosi masked stand up behind him, and then there's a Blaze TV logo behind. Oh, look. And the fake brick wall behind him ends here. Look, I know I have camera cropping issues with my brand new little camera, but this is chintzy. I'm disappointed. Very upset. This is not of quality. Hold on. I've got to set this thing up here. It's going to bonk me right in the head. I know it, but it's sticking out and it's not good. Hold on. Put this up here like this, and then we'll take this guy up here. Because it hangs down, and then it gets in the way of things. Hey, I fixed it. Look at that. All right. I'm sorry, but I feel a brand fail coming on because you are using stock Home Depot brick wall shit put on plywood like a regular set, and you're not even bothering to finish the wall. I'm disappointed. I feel let down. I'm not going to let it get to me because I'm a professional, and I will keep moving on, and I will focus on the issues. But God damn it upsets me, and I just have to say that.
He said the word democracy 37 times. I'd like.
Yeah, because it's important
to point out.
Yeah. By the way, how many times did Trump say disgraceful or like nobody's ever seen before during his last speech, much less all of them? Holy shit.
God! 20 minutes, 30.
Oh, Pat Gray is unleashed. You could see him go,
37 minutes.
37
and
times.
he would wedge it in at awkward moments that's like, all right, what are you doing? We understand what you're doing.
Apparently you don't.
Doing here, but it's not, it doesn't even flow, man.
Yeah, not like, it doesn't even flow, man. Like, I can't even, like... Sorry, wrong. I'm drinking out of the wrong end. That's my bad.
Yeah, I mean, people don't think it's a big deal. Some, or many, probably.
Yeah, if only Biden could speak as well as Pat Gray unleashed.
They don't, democracy, republic, whatever. It matters. It does, because they're doing this for a reason. This is why they changed the language on us. This is why, they...
Oh, is this motherfucker going to make a case that we're not a democracy? Is that where this shit goes?
They don't call abortion abortion. They call it reproductive rights because it changes it.
Yes. Fucking chicks, am I right? Jesus. Look, ladies, all right? Listen to Pat. He'll tell you how to discuss what's going on with your body, okay? He's got a class on the weekends. You show up blindfolded. You don't even need to buy a ticket. You just have to present ID at the shredder.
It doesn't... Reproductive rights sounds like... Yeah, well, they deserve that. Yes.
Right. Which they do. It sounds like they deserve reproductive rights. Except when they try to use them. In which case, fuck that.
They should have reproductive rights. Jeez. Same with democracy. It is their code word for socialism.
You guys know I love being told what I think. Because it's always such a surprise to me. I'm sure it's a surprise to you. Did you guys know that was the code? Did somebody leave their decoder ring at the Blaze headquarters? Son of a bitch. Jesus Christ. No, it isn't. It's code for one person, one vote. Participatory government. That's what it's for, fucko. We are a constitutional republic that operates, wait for it, dum-dum, as a democracy. The functional part, how it works, is a constitutional republic. How we dictate who's in charge of running the constitutional republic is through democratic means. And can I just say for the record that Glenn Beck is going to take time out of his busy schedule, insofar as we know, to go support one Republican candidate. The one Republican candidate who was recently caught on tape saying that he wants to phase out and pull up Social Security by the fucking roots. One. He's not going to help Oz. He's not star fucking his way around or going to wave at Walker and saying, hey, the blaze is behind you. One guy, Mike Lee, after the video came out. After. Meanwhile, Pat Gray's message to the rest of the Blaze viewers is, we're not a democracy. People's votes don't matter. We don't run, but we're not a democracy. Okay, this is one of the most tired arguments these assholes put forward. We are a constitutional republic, but we choose our leaders democratically. That was always the point, even before women were allowed to vote, even before minorities were allowed to vote. The point was that the men in that particular time, but the people themselves, you didn't have to be a landowner to vote. This is one of the reasons we were separating ourselves from England, is because at that point, only lords had a right to say in kingdom matters in terms of prime ministers and that kind of shit. And we're like, no, everybody should. And we expanded what everybody means over time because that's how life works. And the architecture for expanding it to everybody was in the original document. It was the point. They just knew they couldn't do it at the time.
Because they're doing this social democracy. It's...
Because we're doing the social democracy. Is that what we're doing? Guys, are we doing the social democracy? Is that a new dance move? I don't know what the dance move for the social democracy would be. Clearly it's like dirty dancing but a government worker helps you thrust your hips. Is that what it works? Is that the social democracy? I know what it isn't. It isn't whatever the fuck that Trump squirt, circle jerk glory hole thing he does when he's dancing. That is not the social democracy. The Elaine dance he does.
It's agonizing.
Sure.
Well, I am happy to hear that you're in agony. Pat, I don't wish it on anybody, but if that's where you are and that's where you're happiest and that's the root of your show, which I think it is.
And he is the biggest liar to ever hold the office, which makes this
well, only if you don't mean technically by actually how many lies are told. But then you have to understand, Pat Gray, if you can get him unleashed, will tell you that he thinks Mexico paid for the wall.
Initial clip we have, all the more agonizing. Here's what he had to say.
This institution, this intimidation,
he screwed it up.
This violence.
Oh my God. He misreads a word, then he fixes it. He doesn't say "and" like Trump does. And do we have to go back through all of the Trump fuck-ups? Well, we don't even need to do it.
Against Democrats, Republicans, and nonpartisan officials just doing their jobs are the consequence of lies told for power and profit, lies of conspiracy.
I love that Pat said, It's like every word that Biden says makes Pat Gray's dick snag on a nail.
Conspiracy and malice.
Lies
repeated over and over.
Oh my God.
Generate a cycle of anger, hate, vitriol. And
by the way, this is a big thing on the Blaze too, is that they play a clip and then either talk over it so you don't actually hear what was heard, or they cut it off and they go, I can't even listen to it.
And violence.
Like the lies he tells over and over. Pause it for just a second. Like the lie he tells about January 6th.
Oh my God. What does he say about January 6th? The lies.
All the time.
All the time he's constantly saying. What lie would that be? Pat Gray unleashed?
That 5 people were killed that day. No.
No. 5 people died in relation to that day.
Oh, no.
No. First of all, he doesn't consider Ashley Babbitt's death to be one that Biden's allowed to cite. there was also another woman who was trampled to death. And then there were 3 cops that, I believe, or 4 actually, that committed suicide in relation to it.
That is not the case.
No? How many died on that day, Stu?
Let's set Ashley Babbitt aside, who was
right. What I tell you, he doesn't count Ashley Babbitt. Biden's not allowed to cite the death of Ashley Babbitt, even though this motherfucker is on the side that sent her to her death.
Killed that day by Capitol Police.
Right. For assaulting another human being and trying to get through a barricaded door with a gang of other people yelling, "Hang Mike Pence," before the Congress was cleared out of the space. By the way, Stu would like to let everybody know on the air and on Blaze TV that if you come to his home and break in through the window, and you have a backpack with God knows what in it, I mean, you could put, I suppose anything could be in there: a gun, pipe bombs, saws, zip ties, mace, acid, nipple clamps, anything.
What?
That, according to Pat Gray, if you do that, if you crawl through his window, even though he's told you not to come through, he will do nothing to stop you, especially if you are with a group of people trying to come through the same window who are there to kill someone in his house, and that he is responsible for the safety of, I suppose, a family member or a friend who's visiting, and he'll just let you come in. That the castle doctrine does not apply as long as you bust a window and you're not, I mean, I guess if you had a gun visible, he'd question, you have the Second Amendment right to carry. He believes in open carry, so I suppose you could get in through that way too.
Rest of them were not killed by anybody.
The rest of them were not killed by anybody.
Sicknick died of natural causes.
Yes, if you're assaulted and your health is not up to the repairs, you will naturally die. Also, you notice he's leaving out the woman who was trampled to death. Hold on. Hold on, my. Yeah, Roseanne Boyland, who, by the way, was also died on January 6th. She was not shot by Capitol Police. She was trampled to death by the mob. They dragged her into a tunnel, tried to resuscitate her, and then ultimately dragged her to police, who continued to try and save her life as she was, even though she was with a group of people who were there to take theirs. There she is, Roseanne Boyland. And there's a shot of her, picture, I think. Yeah, I think she has a hockey stick. Yeah. She's there to, I guess, high stick a cop if she wants. She was also there, pictured earlier in the day, carrying a "Don't Tread on Me" flag. That's right. The woman that was trampled to death by Capitol rioters who were there saying, "Hang Mike Pence," and screaming for them to, that I got one, when they got a hold of Officer Fanone, dragged him out and tried to beat him to death, with one person with a flagpole, a sharpened flagpole that had a Blue Lives Matter flag on it. Oh, the irony. Same group of people, ironically, trampled to death a woman carrying a "Don't Tread on Me" Gadsden flag.
Couple of strokes. And then I believe 2 or 3 other police officers died in the aftermath, committing suicide.
Yes, totally unrelated to the events of that day. And this is an awesome freeze frame. I just think we've won the freeze frame battle of the day. Apparently, this is the moment when Pat Gray realized, oh my God, they spray painted my logo even on my side of the microphone. This is amazing. No one's going to see this on camera. Oh my God, is there a camera over my shoulder? Dear God, can they see what's on my desk? All these thoughts raced through Pat Gray's mind as he momentarily caught sight of his microphone.
Well, how do you attribute that to January 6th?
And how do you leave out Roseanne Boylan? How do you do that, Pat? I guess fuck her, right? Doesn't fit the narrative. Doesn't help your case. Clearly a MAGA supporter. Clearly killed by MAGA supporters. Some of the MAGA supporters tried to save her. Unsuccessfully. Ended up asking the Capitol Police to try and save her after the other rioters had stomped her to death.
You can't. You don't know that, what, January 6th was just so horrifying they couldn't live anymore? Come on. Come on. So talk about...
Oh, here's one of the things. The accusation you've heard multiple times from people at the Blaze and other right-wingers is that there were Capitol Police who were there who helped. Now, we know most of the time when they were waving people through into doorways, it was to basically make the rioters who were stupid and had no plan go through another door while they took people out the other way. And because they were overwhelmed, this was the safest way to do it. They don't have enough people to push back against the mob. So one of the ways is you just lure them into another, into a side tunnel. So they go this way when you're trying to sneak people out that way. It's smart, and it's what you do in an emergency in that kind of situation. It worked out very well. It helped immensely. But one of the things they keep bringing up is that some Capitol police officers were in on it with the rioters. Not saying that the people who committed suicide were, but it would speak to something like that. If you were part of an unsuccessful coup, or you were in contact with those people and you knew the hammer was coming down.
Lies. They tell the biggest lies they possibly can.
Well, that's not true. I mean, we can do way better than that.
Over and over and over and over.
Well, if we do it so much, cite one.
The lies about this election denial stuff.
The lies about this election denial stuff. Cool. Hit me.
They're the biggest election denialists on earth. They've been doing this since 2000 at least.
Okay. Nobody has said that there were votes faked, or that the machines had been infiltrated, or any of that stuff. The election problems previous to 2015 and even in 2016 all had to do with certain secretaries of state denying voting machines, working voting machines in impoverished or black and brown communities, and making sure that white communities or richer communities had plenty of machines. And you had 7-hour lines in parts of Georgia and 20-minute lines in other parts. And it wasn't because the resources weren't laid out by the state. The state had absolutely enough the ability to do this, but Kemp himself, who was Secretary of State during that time, that dude made sure that certain districts didn't have enough machines. That's the problem. Nobody ever in any of these things has said somebody fucking bounced votes off a satellite to Spain and then had them reprinted on paper with panda jizz in it.
Every election they lose, they deny.
No. We have every president except for Donald Trump has participated in the peaceful exchange of power. Everybody has shown up. Even Barack Obama showed up at Trump's election. Everybody. Bush, Kerry, everybody. They're all showing up, whether they won or lost, to show respect.
Every single one.
And also, every single one what? Every single election somebody brings shit up, which is, of course, the denial of proper machines or drop-off boxes in impoverished black and brown areas, and the like. Or you mean just every single Democrat, which is just a flat-out lie. That would categorize. I would say that would be in the categorization of biggest lies you can tell. Absolutes.
And we've shown you that.
No, you have not.
We've proven that.
No, you have not. You have just said it over and over again. That's not proof.
Yeah, and that's one of the things he said last night. Find out who's. He said there's over 300 people on the ballot who are election deniers.
What?
Somebody brought up a good
300?
point. 300? Yeah, somebody brought up
a
good point that Stacey Abrams is on the ballot.
Is on the ballot.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that whole speech was geared. It was an 11th hour attempt for Joe Biden and the Democratic Party to go January 6th. Remember, election deniers, don't vote for that party.
They're trying desperately.
No, actually, it was in response to Paul Pelosi being attacked with a fucking hammer. That speech would not have happened when it happened, if at all, in its current form, if that hadn't happened. Period. End of fucking story.
To throw whatever they can against the wall to save themselves because they know they're in huge trouble. They know there is a red tsunami coming at them.
Oh yeah, here it comes. The total red tsunami. It's not showing up anywhere yet, but we know it's just waiting. It's there. And if it doesn't happen, it was stolen.
And they're trying everything they can to avoid it, but they can't. They can't avoid it. Anyway, let's hear the rest of this. We can stand it. The truth.
The very future of our nation depends on it.
You would know the truth if it
My
smacked
fellow
you in the
Americans-
face.
See what I mean? Like he can't even listen to the clip. Pause the shit, you fucker. Again, he's got he has one of Stephanie Miller's soundboards, one of those old-fashioned radio soundboards where you can play clips to his right. I don't know if he ever uses it during the show. I don't watch it. Why would you? But I would like to say for the record, there's nothing stopping him from getting a fucking stream deck like this one and starting and stopping his own fucking clips with one button push. That's what I do. Watch. This is how it works. I push that, it stops. This is how I run my shit. Just me here by myself. It's not a lot of work. Fucking just do it.
In a defining moment.
That's true.
An inflection point.
Okay.
We must, with one overwhelming, unified voice, speak as a country.
Yeah, you're right.
Say there's no place
for your hate.
Intimidation.
For your hate. Listen to you. Hey, man, again, these are the assholes who will tell you there's no such thing as hate speech. And on the other hand, the president isn't allowed to call out any bullshit that he sees. Even in a speech where he's saying, look, I may have differences with people, and we may, go at it politically, but nobody needs to fucking pick up a hammer or burn someplace down or shoot somebody. That's wrong. And the fact that Pat Gray is intellectually, morally, ethically, and psychosexually incapable of recognizing the difference between those two things is, quite frankly, what he was hired for and why he works at the Blaze.
Okay.
Political violence in America.
Sure. Okay, that's fine by me. I love how now they're so radically opposed to violence. All of a sudden, violence is the worst thing in the world.
First of all, it was never all of the sudden.
Violence?
By the way, this is they're going to go with the whole Antifa violence in Portland and George Floyd protests in Minneapolis and in other places and in Ferguson and those kind of things that were because Democrats backed the protests and there was riots or violence, and we don't back the riots or the violence, but we do support the protests. These guys want to make the protests and the riots indistinguishable from one another. If you support the protesters and what they're trying to say, you support the riots. They're trying to make those things indistinguishable from one another. So you cannot voice support for changes to policing and more accountability. You cannot do anything about like I guess the idea of like police or army on the street, National Guard people on the street, like in D.C. Splitting a crowd to push Trump through so he could wag a Bible in front of everyone, that kind of shit. You can't be angry about that and protest against it. And at the same time, if you just want the protest, you must also take the Molotov cocktails as part of it. Meanwhile, these fuckers would like to say that election denial is completely justified. And if they don't support, the violence, any violence that happened on January 6th, but the purpose of it was important and it needs to be heard. Rules for thee and not for me.
This is never the answer. Okay, well, look at this portion of his speech. He began the speech by drawing a direct connection between January 6th and the storming of the Capitol building and last week's attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband, which we're going to delve into later.
By the way, the reason he drew a direct correlation between the two is because the attacker drew a direct correlation between the two. The fucking guy who did it believes the election was stolen, believes that you're going to have violence or we're never going to have a country again. The same shit that Jan 6 people believed.
who was bludgeoned with a hammer by a deranged nudist in San Francisco.
Oh, by the way, he's reading from somebody else's article take on this. The guy was not a nudist. The woman he was sleeping with at the time is a nudist activist. She's in jail right now on other charges. He was sleeping in her garage. The BLM and the gay rights flags, those are hers on her house. He doesn't live in the house. She won't let him live in the house. You know why? Because he writes this MAGA shit, so she makes him sleep in the garage. She's charitable enough not to make him, homeless, so that if he gets caught because he's Canadian, he'll be sent home. So she lets him sleep in the fucking garage. And then I don't think she can stop him and make him move out because she's in fucking jail.
And he said, "We don't settle our differences in America with a riot, a mob." Wait, really?
Yeah, and again, this is going to be, didn't you support the rioting and the mobs of Antifa and BLM? No. Supporting the protests is not supporting the violence. And as a matter of fact, Joe Biden specifically ran on not supporting that part of it. He was very vocal about it, his entire campaign. More so than Trump was, because Trump at one point was like, "We're gonna knock the hell out of this guy. If he beat him up and if he sues you, I'll pay for it." That was Trump's answer to that shit.
Seems like we do when you're in agreement with the rioters.
Yep.
Totally. Yep.
Entire summer of 2020?
Yeah, I forget who was president then.
Yes, it was 2020. So
was it really?
Wow, it's been over 2 years now.
Right. There haven't been any. You know why? Because Biden's in fucking office. Those riots happened under Trump.
You didn't do a thing about that.
No.
He wasn't president, fucko. Trump was president. What was he supposed to do?
You never even talk about that. No. City after city was set on fire.
Yeah, they're all gone. Portland, by the way, somebody in the chat said they were in Portland earlier. Somebody said they were in Bend. Another person said they were in Seattle. I don't buy it. You guys stop lying to me. They're gone. They don't exist anymore. Those cities, I miss them sorely. The Bridgeton Comedy Festival was great.
In fact, don't forget when
Don't forget. No way.
Leftist crowd surrounded the White House and President Trump had to go into the basement.
Right.
Did the left go, "Oh my gosh, guys, this is the presidency. This is the people's house. What are you doing?"
No,
when they surrounded the White House and he had to go into the basement. Okay, first of all, he didn't go into the bunker. He just went in to have a look around. Bunker Boy did not go to the bunker. And how dare you accuse Donald Trump, alpha male, of hiding in the fucking basement from protesters who were, I think, largely sitting outside.
Mock Trump for being a coward.
Precisely.
Yeah. Yes. Because he was in the fucking White House. Nothing they had was going to reach the fucking White House. Not a person. There's gigantic fucking fences around the entire way, the entire building. I've been there. They got pointy tips on everything. You're not getting over that fucking thing. And if you do get over it, you're not getting very far.
It's despicable. It's,
again, gibberish.
Despicable.
Thank you, Bjorn.
All of a sudden, riots and mobs are terrible.
Bless you.
Wow. Oh.
Yes, riots and mobs are terrible. They've always been bad and terrible. Protests are not. You don't make the distinction. We allow you to make the distinction. I've often, for the record, my conscience is clear. I have made the distinction between the vast majority of people who showed up to listen to Trump speak one last time at the fucking speech near the ellipse, where they listened to it and they fucked off. There were groups of people who went to the Capitol, somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 people who went and attacked the fucking place. Those people are the bad people. I have no problem with, except on a political level, political argumentative level, and I'm glad to have that conversation with them, with the people who were there, listened to the speech, and left. Nothing. I can make that distinction. Why the fuck can't you? I'll tell you why. Because you work at the Blaze, and that's the job.
Okay. I can't.
We know you can't. You're not intellectually capable of dealing with the problems that are in front of you, and you never will be. And you'll be happier once you recognize that.
This is hard to hear for a second time.
Okay, part of it is because you're hearing it, but you're not listening. Because you won't allow yourself to listen, and you're afraid, and that's why you talk over it. Whereas when I do the Trump rallies, for example, I pause and continue to listen. And if I mishear something, which I occasionally do, as anybody does, because Trump talks out of his ass a great deal of the time, I back up and listen again. You guys have seen me do it. It's not hard.
It was hard to hear the first time.
Yeah. Again, there's a difference between hearing and listening, dummy.
Then, of course, you've got the dichotomy of Biden going after Donald Trump.
The dichotomy of... I don't know in what context he's using that word. Maybe we'll find out. I doubt it.
Whom he hates with...
Well, I mean, I think that shows taste and breeding on his part.
Just such a passion.
Well, it's one of the reasons I voted for him. He gets me.
But...
Well, and you know, Pat, I understand. Why would you hate a guy who brags about being able to grab your wife, daughter, sister, mother, whomever, by the pussy without even asking if he finds her attractive and assuming she'll let him do it? Why? Why would you hate a guy who calls everybody fake news but pleads the fifth 400 fucking times in a civil case? Why would you hate him? Can't imagine.
All the while asking for unity. We got to be together on this.
Okay.
Check this.
Yes, as Republicans and Democrats, the one thing we can share, we don't have to agree on anything else, but we can agree that we can settle this through discourse, even arguing back and forth, even joking at each other's expense and that kind of stuff, but stopping short of physical violence. That's the point. This shouldn't be a bipartisan thing at all, but Pat Gray is, again, morally incapable of grasping this, it would seem. Although, lucky for us, he's physically incapable of doing anything about it.
So,
The issue couldn't be clearer in my view. We, the people, must decide whether we'll have fair and free elections.
mm-hmm.
And every vote counts. We, the people, must decide whether we're going to sustain a republic where reality is accepted.
Actually,
by the way, is he going to say it?
Said
The
Republic.
law is
Wow.
Yeah, fucko, he knows. I love how these assholes think they've discovered. Oh, he even said republic, bro. He even said republic. I don't like, yes, we're a constitutional republic that chooses our representative governance through democratic means. We're a democracy. The two are not mutually exclusive, fucko. It's like an airplane is still an airplane, whether it's on autopilot, whether you have a solo pilot or a co-pilot, or you use a throttle stick or an actual, steering column handle. Right? Still a fucking plane. Just how do you control the plane? What means do you exert your will over the vehicle itself? The constitutional republic is the vehicle itself. The democracy is the method by which you drive. I don't know why the fuck these people have such a hard time grasping this.
Obeyed,
Yeah.
Wow.
One time.
and your vote is truly sacred.
Mm-hmm.
We, the people, must decide whether the rule of law will prevail, whether we will allow the dark forces to thirst for power
It's just a thrust,
put ahead of the principles that we've long guided us.
Again, like, here, some people do genuinely bring up, like, why do you make fun of how Trump talks and you don't make fun of how Biden talks? Two reasons. One is I'm aware that Biden has had a lifelong stutter. He's dealt with it his whole life. And with age, sometimes that can get more difficult. Doesn't mean your brain doesn't work, just a communication problem. I got no problem with that. The reason I make fun of Trump is because Trump told us he has the best words. The minute you set yourself up as not just better than the average politician, but better than me, better than everyone else, then that means every fuck up you make is it's game on. I think I speak pretty well, and I think consistently as a communicator, I do okay. I think my analogies are spot on. They might be a little pop culture-y for some folks. They might be a little on the nose for others, but I do my best. But at no point am I going to say ever, look, like, I got this talking thing nailed. If you don't understand me, it's your fucking ears that are the problem, buddy. That's how Trump talks. And so once you talk like that, fuck you. Then every fuck up you have is on a scale that you're the Olympic speaker. At this point, every quarter second, every millisecond matters between win and fucking lose. People lose in the Olympics by milliseconds. Well, if you're telling me you got the best words and you went to the best schools and you understand stuff better than anybody, then I'm coming for every fucking thing you say. But if you're a normal person who reads from a teleprompter part of the time as part of their job, and then sometimes you don't, and some speeches are quickly laid together, and some things you've said dozens of times. Sometimes you take phrases from other speeches and you plug them in, and then you replace other words, and so you kind of you even see Trump do this sometimes. You go muscle memory to the next phrase, and that's not actually what's there. But when you fix it just by, you say the wrong word, but then you realize it, and you fix it, and you say the right word. And I would always argue, I would go, excuse me, and it's okay that you're reading it. Like I would say, it doesn't matter if you stop, but that's on a presidential level. Maybe that's a decision or a conversation they've focus grouped and we don't know yet. But never go, these are the kind of institutions and insinuations that no, those two things don't go together. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. He tries to make it like he meant to say the first word, which is even fucking dumber. That's why. Yeah. If you say only I can fix it, then you better be able to fucking fix everything, buddy.
American democracy is under attack because
American democracy is under attack.
Former president of the United States refuses to accept the results of the 2020 election.
Give me a break.
What do you mean give you a break? He doesn't. He still fucking doesn't. That's not even debatable.
He refuses to accept the will of the people. He refuses to accept the fact that he lost. He has abused his power and put the loyalty to himself before loyalty to the Constitution. He's made a big lie, an article of faith in the MAGA Republican Party, the minority of that party. The great iron.
By the way, he says a minority of that party. The MAGA Republican Party, the MAGA members of the Republican Party, however they're phrasing that. But he's like a minority of that party. He throws that in, or it's in the speech, which is an important distinction. He's saying not all Republicans. There's a small sliver of these fuckers that bought this shit, and they got to be Trump's fart sniffers, or they're not in. But the rest of the Republicans we should be able to talk to. And those folks need to raise their voice so we don't have any more fucking hammer attacks.
About the 220 election.
220.
It's the most attacked election in our history.
That's the year.
It was back in 220.
Yeah, it was the 220 election.
Oh, wow.
Biden versus Trump.
Like 1,800 years ago.
No.
The election of 220 AD. Yeah, man. Those were the days, weren't they? They're not coming back. 220. He's so bad.
Yeah, don't put numbers on the screen, man.
Go away.
So, I just had to watch that for a second because I was enjoying Pat Gray's misery. Pat, try as hard as you might, and you seem to be very trying. You're never going to be as miserable as Greg Kelly. Sorry. You could try, but that's it.
He can't do any numbers.
Yeah.
As we've noted many, many times.
Have you? How many times have you noted it?
Because, this comes
I'm
out.
just going to bring $1.7 billion off the sidelines in investment.
That's so great.
It's just stunning.
All right, let's see if we can get through this clip. Oh, man.
There's no election in our history that we can be more certain of its results.
Oh.
What?
Yes, there was literally more of a paper trail in the 2020 election than anyone in history because most people voted from home. Everybody had their own ballot, and they had a paper version of it, there were almost no machine-only votes in the entire country. The vast majority of the machines had been updated to produce some sort of paper trail, and most people voted by mail. So it was like 96% had a paper ballot attached to the vote for the first time in American history. That's exactly what he's talking about. It's materially true. It's not even a question. And Pat thinks outrage at the very idea is enough to upend that argument.
What? Where do you get off with that? Show me the facts backing that statement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Progress towards 100% paper ballots continues, but there are challenges ahead. Even with the unprecedented challenge and historic turnout of 2020, election officials across the county administered an election that the federal government's cybersecurity agency called the most secure in American history. Many factors led to this result. From close coordination preparation between federal, state, and local agencies to the expansion of voting options that reduce stress on election systems, but one of the most significant was the rapid transition in recent years to voting on paper ballots, a trend that is set to continue in the 2022 and 2024 elections. Experts widely recognize paper ballots as one of the most important security measures that states can adopt. When selections are recorded on paper, voters can easily verify that their ballot accurately reflects their choices. Paper ballots also facilitate post-election audits, where election workers can check the paper records against electronic vote totals to confirm that voting machines are working as intended. For example, by replacing paperless voting machines before the 2020 election, Georgia was able to conduct a hand count of every ballot cast, confirming the presidential election outcome and dispelling conspiracy theories about the state's voting machines. This would not have been possible in Georgia as recently as 2018. Nationwide, we estimate that 93% of all votes cast during the 2020 election had a paper record, whether filled out by hand or printed by a machine for the voter to review before casting their ballot. That is precisely it. Fuck you, you dunce. It is not our responsibility to back up shit you just don't believe because it's your job not to believe it.
You're trying too hard, Joe.
Oh, man. Wow.
If you enjoyed this
I didn't, and I don't know who you are, and you creep me out. You're a very attractive lady, and you seem very nice, and I'm digging the red dress thing, and I think it's creepy that Glenn made you put that on to shoot their post-video like and subscribe thing, which is... Glenn, it's fucked up. I'm just saying. Maybe your Mormon fellows would agree with it, but I kind of doubt it. Yeah, so for the record, more of a paper trail in the 2020 election than any in history. That's one of the reasons why Barr and everyone was telling Giuliani and the rest of them that there was no there. Fuck, it screwed their entire argument because there was a paper trail. Because every recount they did, the only thing they ever found was that some Republicans had like taken some votes and slipped them under the table so that they wouldn't be counted. And they were just like, 1, 2, and they take a Biden one and put it in the tray like they'd already counted, and then make a paper reference and go, I don't know, my machine says this, but my hand recount says this. So they're like, okay, well, we go with the hand recount. So, and then they look back in and we're going to get it recounted again. Well, no. And then another person checks the box because everybody gets to look at both. And then they find that a bunch of these fuckers tried to table a bunch of votes. Jesus Christ. Ugh. Do I dare? Hold on.
Hey, Nevada. It's John Legend here.
Hi, John Legend.
Get involved and vote for Catherine Cortez Masto.
It's a good idea.
Women's rights, voting rights, our environment. It's all on the ballot. And it's
true.
Not too late to register.
That's right.
So click here for details.
Let's all pretend we're 10 points behind everywhere.
Okay. I'm going to finish with this because it's not that long. And we can manage to slip it in because we've done nothing but the blaze today. And I just feel like that's cheapening the entire show. Although I think we got to the bottom of a bunch of stupid arguments on the Beck side of things, and we basically did a sweep of all the programming that's fit to skewer on the Blaze in its entirety, and it's just a fucking shitty boys club of garbage. But I'm blazed out as well. Yeah, we're blazing. So, hey, Mr. Producer, here we go. Let's all pretend that that we shove our heads up our asses to make them shiny. That's what we're doing, Mr. Producer.
Let's all pretend we're 10 points behind everywhere across the country.
Because they are.
That's what we ought to do. Whether we are or not, it doesn't much matter to me. But we got to get our ass in gear and defeat these people, or they're going to...
Yeah. By the way, Mark Levin is recognizing what the real polls are saying, not all these like fluff polls the right-wingers are tossing up right before the election to try and get their voters to like, we're winning, we can do this.
Destroy the country. This is the biggest lineup of Democrat Party reprobates who want to serve in the Senate.
I feel seen.
And the House that I've ever seen in my life. The worst, most extreme, hate America crowd you can imagine.
Really? He does know the squad's already in office, right?
You look at these states. You look at Wisconsin.
I do look at them.
Wisconsin. You look at North Carolina.
North Carolina. Fucking dude, if North Carolina is on your mind, something tells me your polling data is freaking you the fuck out.
You look at...
Oh, this is Mark Levin. Sean Hannity calls him, calls him the Great One. Another ironic title. He believes that the Democratic Party is all Marxists.
Georgia, these are radical, almost Marxist-type candidates.
Radical. That's apparently the key word. That word's been like a focus group lately. Radical. Come on, Chuck.
You look at all these other races, as a matter of fact.
I do. As a matter of fact, I do look at all these other races.
And I would say this to the American people. Do you like being called names by Joe Biden and his party?
Well, it depends on, I mean, are they pet names? Are they cute names? Is he calling, like, you know, because William Shatner calls me Sparkles. That makes me feel good. There's some like celebrities who I've never met, but know because of, you know, the world of Twitter, who some of them call me Halbert. My sister calls me that, and I'm not quite sure why. She thinks it's cute too. But you know, some folks, I've been called Hallelujah. I don't mind that one. That's pretty solid.
You ever have a president of the United States who's trashing the American people?
In general, yeah.
Lincoln? I don't think so. John Kennedy, Reagan, Trump.
Yeah, Trump did on the regular. Apparently, the American people are stupid. We've fallen for stupid things. He's smarter than the rest of us. He's got the best words. He knows about everything better than anybody, including, I would presume, American citizens who've been working on those issues for their entire fucking lives.
You actually have this...
Sparky is my dad's nickname, for the record.
This guy, Joe Biden, who's been a damnable Washington bureaucrat his entire life on our payroll and the communist Chinese payroll, who has...
Both? Do the Chinese know? They're not doing well. Have you checked Mark Levin? Apparently, the Chinese really had it easy when Trump was in office.
Worked a real job in the private sector in his entire life, and that goes for Pelosi and Schumer, too. And they are...
They've just been effective representatives and keep getting raises and promotions by the people they represent.
Inflation deniers. And they are gas price increase deniers.
You do realize that gas prices have gone down the last 25 weeks.
And they are open border deniers.
That's because we don't have an open border. Here's what I want to know. Mark, why are you telling people to come to the country and that the border's open? Why are you causing this crush at the border? It's your fault, Mark. Shame on you. Fuck off.
And they are fentanyl deniers.
Wait, they're fentanyl deniers?
And they are inflation deniers. And they are gas price increase deniers. And they are open border deniers. And they are fentanyl deniers.
Okay, they just deny that fentanyl exists. Let me see real quick, if I may. Excuse me. Let's see. He does realize that, like, they've been catching more fentanyl at the border than they did during the Trump years, and deaths are going down. He does know this, right? Because we're catching more of it. Let's see. Here we go. Fact sheet. Biden-Harris administration announces new actions and funding to address the overdose epidemic and support recovery. $1.5 billion awarded to all states and territories to beat the opioid crisis. That would be fentanyl, among other things. Recognize the devastating impact the overdose epidemic has caused this nation, reaching large cities, small towns, tribal lands, and every community in between. That's why in his first State of the Union, President Biden made beating the opioid crisis a key pillar of his unity agenda, outlined critical actions the Biden-Harris administration is taking to address the crisis. 1. Awarding $1.5 billion for all states and territories to address addiction and the opioid crisis. Investing over $104 million to expand substance use treatment and prevention in rural communities to beat the overdose epidemic. Investing $20.5 million to increase access to recovery supports. Releasing new guidance to support and facilitate greater access to FDA-approved naloxone products, so people don't die. Although I don't know that that's the problem Mark Levin thinks is the problem. Like addicts dying isn't what's bothering him. Announcing additional funding for law enforcement officials on the front lines of the overdose epidemic. In April, to support implementation of the president's National Drug Control Strategy, ONDCP announced $275 million for the high-intensity drug trafficking areas, HIDTA, program to support law enforcement officials working to reduce violent crime, improve data sharing, and dismantle illicit finance operations of drug traffickers. To further support these efforts, today, ONDCP announced an additional $12 million for new HIDTAs, public health and public safety partnerships, working to prevent overdoses and efforts to prevent gun crimes associated with drug trafficking. Releasing new guidance for employers to create recovery-ready workplaces, deploying financial sanctions to disrupt global trafficking operations. That would be the fentanyl coming across the southern border. Fuck you, Mark Levin. Since the issuance of Biden's executive order 14059 in December, the Treasury's Department Office of Foreign Assets Control has used this new authority to designate 27 individuals and 17 entities involved in drug trafficking. Recent actions include designations of individuals tied to the cartel Jalisco Nueva Generacion, a violent Mexico-based organization that traffics a significant portion of illicit, what's that word? I don't even know there. Fentanyl and other deadly drugs that enter the United States. Working with U.S. foreign partners and industries, the U.S. Department of the Treasury will use sanctions to target the global fentanyl supply chain, particularly in Mexico, to disrupt the illicit production of synthetic opioids like fentanyl, which continue to drive overdose deaths. For more on the Treasury Department's counter-narcotics sanctions program, see here. Dun, dun, dun. Look at that. Sanctions brochures, list of narcotics traffickers, frequently asked questions, important notices. I mean, you're right, Mark. They're doing nothing. They're not doing anything. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to do anything. They're denying that it even exists. That's why he denies, if you ask him about that executive order and the program within the Department of Homeland Security and the DEA, he'll just deny it exists.
And they are massive debt deniers.
Massive debt deniers. Yes, that's why Biden has lowered the deficit faster than any president in history.
And they are, well, they're destroying our economy. So, of course,
deniers.
Of course, they're desperate. They want you to actually believe that if you vote for these wild, crazy, riotous Republicans who are well known for overthrowing the country.
Well, no. Oh, look, I was with you for wild, riotous Republicans, but they're not well known for overthrowing the country, Mark. Oh, please. They fucked that up. And thank God. Because while they are wild and they are certainly riotous, they are a steaming pile of fuck-ups who couldn't pull off a coup if they had it handed to them with a golden ladle.
Who are well known for burning down cities.
Yes, that's again, Portland. I feel bad because you must be triggered at this point. What's left of you? Well, Portland Crater. Anybody who's living in a tent in Portland Crater right now, I'm sorry that today has been particularly brutal for you. I wish you still existed, but you just don't.
We're well known for attacking cops and the military.
Well, no, certainly not compared to January 6th.
We're well known for burning the American flag and the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution.
Well, copies of them, I would argue. And what would you... I'm just saying, coin flip. Burning a flag, which only makes it stronger as a symbol of liberty, or rubbing your dick on it, which is worse? Because I've made the case that the reason you allow the flag to be burned is because it is a symbol of freedom, and therefore one of those freedoms is burning it. And if you participate in the burning of it, you're making a very important distinction in burning that flag versus other flags you cannot burn in the same countries. So the Chinese flag, the Iranian flag, you'll get into big trouble. In Russia, of course, for the same thing. But in the United States, you can burn the American flag because it proves that it stands for the very thing that we say it stands for. It's not a religious symbol. It's a symbol of that freedom. And if you act out that freedom using it, you just make that freedom stronger. The American flag is the Obi-Wan Kenobi of flags.
That we will not have our country the day after the election. Really?
Really?
How about we bet $10 million on that right now?
Do you have $10 million, Mark? I'm guessing not.
Go. You got enough money from the communist Chinese.
How much? Can you ever get enough money from the communist Chinese? I mean, the yuan isn't worth what it used to be worth to. Sorry. Oh, I see. Okay. Sorry, I was getting a buzz on my wrist. My Apple Watch was asking me what we're having for dinner.
I'll bet you $10 million right now that we'll have a democracy, actually a republic.
Fuck. They're all in on the talking points. They've had a round table. They just Slack. There was a Zoom meeting. There was a WhatsApp, Telegram, circle jerk. We got to talk up this whole republic thing. Fuck democracy anyways, but not too much because that'll make our people not vote because we don't believe in voting and shit.
The day after the election. And let me say something else to the Washington establishment, including McConnell.
Okay, please, I don't want to interrupt. Please, if you're going to take the piss out of people in your own party, have at it.
You trashed our candidates before. I have never been so proud and excited about the Republican candidates ever.
Really? Really? Walker, Dr. Oz, Carrie Lake, really? Mike Lee, he's an incumbent, and he just said he wants to sunset Social Security. Now, I know you're probably for that in your little, Telegram group, but you're not one of those people who's going to say it out loud. You're probably pissed he got caught. Get the fuck out of here. There is no more manly human being, Mr. Producer, in this world than Ron DeSantis. He's a sex machine. I love his boots and I love his hair.
We have citizen candidates from every corner of this country.
Citizen candidates. Uh-huh. That's a great way of looking at it. You mean MTG? Why don't you have her on, Mark? Have her on Life, Liberty, and Levin.
People who care about working people in this country. Well, all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of races,
That's right. That's the one thing. Republicans are a Big Ten party. Dude, the watching the Tucker Carlson crowd deal with hey, we're making some inroads with 3% of Latinos. That could help us win a couple of elections. But then we have to hang out with Latinos. I don't know. It's such a Chinatown moment. They're like, my sister, my daughter, Latinos, I don't like them. They're brown people. I don't.
All kinds of faiths coming to.
All kinds of faiths. Yeah. There's a lot of different kinds of Episcopalians.
Together, uniting to save this country and defeat the one force that is destroying our classrooms, destroying our currency, destroying our homes and our families.
Okay, first of all, it's going to be wokeism, I guess, or Marxism. It has to be. He's got a book to sell. But our currency is worth more than our currency. Let's go. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see if I have to check. Okay. Sorry. U.S. dollar. Let's see real quick. Let's see. U.S. dollar index. Shit. The U.S. dollar is worth oh, quit it. Get out of here. The dollar is worth $1.10. It went up as high as $1.13. It's down 2 points, and it's still above $1. Our dollar is worth more than $1. This fucking the yuan is like, I want to say 7.2 right now. It's like there's 7.2 yuan. Oh, well, let's just check. Yuan to dollar. Normally they try to keep it around 5 or 6. Let's see. 7.3, motherfucker. Oh, 7.18. Oh, here we go. So yeah, right now it's at 7 1/8. Here you go. Chart. Get out of here. Quit. Charts. Come on, show me a chart. Give me a. You got a chart. The charty chart. Get out of here. I have to look at Statista or whatever. Let's see. Yeah, and back up here. Yuan to dollar chart. Yeah. Let's see. Here's the yuan and its worth against the dollar. There you go. Hold on. There you go. See where it was? See where it is? The yuan is eating shit right now. It's in terrible shape. My portal opened? I know, I saw that. My camera moves with me sometimes if I move too much. I keep trying to turn the tracking off, and it still does it.
Economy? Destroying
our economy? This is fucking... The economy is taking a giant shit. The whole thing, they fucking raised the shit out of the economy. It's a fucking... economy is just economizing, and the shit. This is year to date, down and then back up. Look, this is our move. It was at 36 that at its high, which was overvalued like fucking crazy, and it settled. It dropped. Its lowest point was 28,725. That was, Jesus Christ. If you invested at that point on September 30th, people have made a fortune in the last fucking month. And let's see. Bloomberg has a great article on jobs. Let's see. A lot of Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it in the... Give me 1 second. I know I'm going late tonight, but hang on 1 second. This is fun. Search. Okay. Jobs. Let's go Fed. We'll just... something will come up. Okay. Sure is for jobs Fed. Here you go. Yeah, here you go. When was this one? Let's make sure this is... Yeah, this is August 30th. Hold on. There's got to be a newer one. But even this is still relevant. Fed gets new path to go big as job openings and confidence surprise. 2 indicators top forecast pointing to strength in demand. Americans, why you keep buying shit? You're supposed to be broke and destitute and angry and sad and destroyed. Now, there's a... Yeah, this is hilarious. Let's see if this... jobs Fed making it tough for stocks. When this pops up, let's just watch this. Watch this with me, if you will. And again, oh, bless you, Lisa. Thank you so much for the super chat. Don't forget you can support the show through super chats, and thank you for reminding me. And liking and subscribing helps a lot. We might be hitting... I think we'll hit it during radio tomorrow. I think that's the chance we'll have to take. Okay, here we go. Skip ad. Take this.
Asia, wonderful to have you back. Your response to the jobs report 50 minutes ago.
Well, it came in right under the nose, in line with expectations. But unfortunately, the challenge is this shows that the labor market is slowing, but is really not weakening. Unfortunately,
the labor market is slowing because there's a lot of fucking job openings, but it's not really weakening because wages are going up.
Say there's broad-based strength. Most industries are still creating jobs. As Anne-Marie mentioned, the unemployment rate is at 3.5%, which aside from pre-pandemic, you have to go back to 1968 to see that. So it's still an exceptional.
By the way, it ticked up to 3.7 because more people entered the job search market. They came online and said, I don't have a job and I want one.
Strong labor market, and herein lies
Thank you, Andrea. I will.
The challenge for the Fed. I think they want to crack the labor market, and there's lots of room for them to do so. So, Jonathan, as we see the futures this morning, this is sort of really bad news for the market because we kind of can see this.
Yeah, it's bad news for the market because people are doing too well. People won't stop working and doing shit and going places.
Train, wreck in motion and slow motion, so to speak. We know that the labor market is going to continue to slow, and at the same time, the Fed is going to continue.
Why is it going to continue to slow? Why? Why is it going to slow? Just say why it's going to slow. Why is it going to slow? You know why it's going to slow? Because there's not that many more people left. Once you get down to 3.5% of people being unemployed who want a job, that's an incredibly small number, and it's going to get smaller. Of course it's shrinking. Fuck's the matter with you?
To hike. So between those two things, it's really tough for equities right now.
Oh,
Anastasia, what a...
Sorry. Too bad. Hold on, I'll shut this window. I don't know, some ad they were playing. So, yeah, this is over the year or whatever, and then this is today. It's in the green, people. It's in the green today. And by the way, today looks a lot like the whole year. 32,403. It's gone up 200 points since I've been on the air. They're destroying our economy. And my 401k is like at an all-time fucking high. It was fucked over a week ago. I don't understand. Stop it.
People's ability to get fuel, and
they can't even drive, and we're almost out of diesel, and my vibrator is diesel powered.
The Democrat Party. The Democrat Party did in 20 months what the communist Chinese in China haven't been able to do in 70 years.
Get a functioning capitalist system to recover from a pandemic? Yeah. They haven't been trying to do any of this shit. What are you talking about? Joe Biden and China. China's eating shit right now. They're in big trouble, and we're leaving, and he's reshored more chip factories, more factories in general, but more chip factories than at any time in the last 5 decades.
What the Russians haven't even been able to do since 1917.
Well, I mean, if they build an economy like they build an army, obviously, it's kind of hopeless from the start, I'm guessing.
They did it in 20 months.
They did it in 20 months. They built infrastructure. They passed rural broadband. They saved the economy. They got people loan relief. And now the stock market's back up to where it was even during a war. And God damn it.
And to speak as Reagan would speak, are you better off today than you were 2 years ago?
Yes. Yes, I am. I am vaccinated and I can work. I can travel. The internet is getting better as I travel across the country. Yes. The fuck are you talking about? Of course I am. Everybody is, dummy. We were losing like hundreds of thousands of Americans. Get the fuck out of here.
The answer is yes, you're not.
All right. The answer, sorry, get back over here. The answer is yes, you're not. I can't argue with that. I don't know how to. The answer is yes, you're not. Okay. Now, how do you walk back from that? He can't. He's a stupid man, but he's not unintelligent. He knows what he just said. He knows what just came out of his mouth. Is yes, you're not. How's he going to turn that around? The brain's got to be scrambling right now. I can see it. Like, I'm glad they dusted. He's got good makeup on the top of his head today. They're definitely, they did a fine brush. Somebody got up there with base and with foundation. Yeah. So they're hiding the color fluctuations. His head usually lights up like the anger character in that Inside Out Disney movie.
Or as Trump would say, what do you have to lose? You're going to vote for these people some more? And
what do you have to lose? We could go back to where we were 2 years ago with a bunch of people dying and us cozying up to fucking dictators and our alliances with other democracies falling to shit and us selling more pork, corn, soybeans, and beef to China than at any other time in our fucking history while Americans were in food lines. What the fuck is the matter with you?
So I would say, Republicans, unite.
Avengers assemble wins. I'm just saying it's better.
I would say to independents, help us.
Help! That's what you would say, I guess. Yeah. That's what you should say. Help!
I would say to Democrats, wash this dirt off your hands and join us.
Wash this dirt off your hands? You got something against people who get their hands dirty when they work? I'm sorry. I know you live in New York and you've surrounded yourself with, upper class elites your entire fucking life. And, I don't think you've ever had since college, maybe in the mid 60s, have you had did you have a day labor job? I laid tile summers during school, in high school. I worked production. I worked in an edit bay in a basement for 7 months straight, barely ever leaving, to the point where I weighed 123 pounds and was ashy gray because I hadn't seen the fucking sun, because I was trying to get a better producing job where I could get on my feet and make some money so that I could buy better clothes for auditions. Fuck you, dude, dirty hands.
This is an election between those who love America and those who hate America.
Right. Democrats love America. And you were saying something about the Republicans?
We have a man in the Oval Office. Every speech he gives, he's cringing, he's grinding his teeth, he's angry, and he's angry at you.
Trump lost, right? You're watching old tape. You're talking about the whole, gosh, United States.
Long past are the days of when Carter talked about malaise in effect. This guy's literally attacking the American people.
No, he's not. He's separating out a group of people that are on the opposite side of the aisle from him, but he's also, in respect to the people who are on the opposite side of the aisle normally, he's saying, not all you guys, it's just this specific group. And some of them are attacking cops and attacking people with hammers in their fucking home. And you got to do something about that. We all got to stand up against it.
Because he's afraid that they won't vote Democrat. This Democrat Party is ideologically crazy.
Well, thanks. I feel seen. That's awfully sweet of you to say. What's the craziest thing I do? Come on, just say it. Come on, just something wacky. I don't know. Is it the way I tousle my hair sometimes when I get excited? Is it that? Is it just the fact? Whoops! Look at that. It fucked my camera up. Hi. There you go. the camera tracked me. That was fun. Is that what it is?
It is utterly.
I am blushing. I love it when he talks directly to me. I only do the Mark Levin clips because it's the only way I feel like a complete person. I feel like he, above all people, gets me. He truly gets me.
Corrupt, and so are the media that represent it. They're the ones that have put their boot on the throat of the energy industry.
Yes, the poor energy industry, who's just had the highest level of profits, checks notes, ever. Fucking ever.
energy independent, something we've sought to be for 60 years.
We are energy independent. We're still energy independent.
They're the ones harming our farmers.
Oh, dear God. What are they doing to our farmers?
They're the ones making food prices go up and gasoline prices go up.
The farmers? How dare you? The farmers aren't the ones making the food prices and gas prices go up. Russia and OPEC are doing that.
You're going to have a hell of a winter.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I think I'm going to have a hell of a winter, too. I think I'm going to hit 45K in subscribers on YouTube. And I think we're going to hit that 2,500 mark. I know hope springs eternal, but still.
Parts of this country that are cold, thanks to the Democrat Party. They have nothing to say except abort our babies, abort our babies.
That's a weird statement. I agree. I thought that speech was a mistake. I thought Kamala Harris should never have come out and said, abort our babies, abort our babies, abort our babies, and then take no questions. I mean, that's just rude. What the shit?
Abort our babies. They are obsessed, they are radical, and they are extreme. That's it.
That's it. By the way, apparently, when he says that's it, that's the end of his clip on Sean Hannity's show. This is this clip that they put up. And he says that's it. He just keeps talking until they go, Sean's back from taking a shit. And then he goes, that's it. There's no finish. There's no way to wrap it up. There's no conclusion. The argument doesn't, wrap up in some sort of clean package where okay, here's your marching orders. This is what we really mean. This is the talking point. This is what this is my new take on it. Nah, it's just a ramble of the same bullshit talking points the rest of these assholes are saying on that network. And he just says them so that Sean Hannity can go have a vape, yell at whoever the fuck he's dating since he's left his wife, and take a giant shit.
Want to see more Mark Levin?
No, I don't. As a matter of fact, I want to see less right now. See how easy that was? Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, and I think that shows taste and breeding on your part. I thank you guys for joining me. It's a lovely Friday evening. Go have some fun. Go watch a movie. I'm going to be on the radio tomorrow with Johnny Million and our dear friend Philip Ittner in Ukraine, giving us a live update from what's going on. He's currently in Kiev. All's well. He's doing good. And we will keep you up to date on what's going on in Kherson and in other regions. My feelings about Crimea, I will talk about that. And then we will probably, at some point, maybe Sunday, I might pop back on to finish off the Trump rally. Just get that one, kind of put that thing to bed. You know what I mean? Bill Mitchell, we can do him at some point. Yeah. By the way, if you ever have a suggestion for somebody you want me to go after as far as, clips go, I'm glad to do it. Just send it to Can't Stop Lying on Twitter or tag me in it, and I'm glad to not look at it until we look at it together. Just saying. If you want to, if there's some idea or some talking point you see and you want me to take down, if I've already seen it, I will mention it, and then I will, I'll go, we'll find something else from the same conversation or the same argument, and we can do it from somebody else so that I'm not prepping and just, sitting like a sniper in the reeds. That's rude. So anyways, much love to you guys. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. I love you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and to 11, and then I've got to race right out the door to check on my kid and then go move a bunch of shit. It's a big work day. I'm going to be very stinky on Sunday. You won't be able to smell me, but you'll want to. Okay, thank you guys so much. Thanks for the support. See you later.